Good for you. Do. Welcome back. My name is Dean. How are you, everybody? Good to see you, wonderful people. Today it is near the end of the week. What are we kicking on a Thursday here? Might have a Friday tomorrow. Don't think there's going to be a show, so we might mail it in a little bit. We might not. Hopefully, we'll have Adam Scorgie on the program a little later on. Documentarian. He was supposed to be joining us now. However, he is a little tardy, but that's fine. If we
I don't think you're allowed to say that.
him, what tardy?
Oh, he's jumping in now. He just texted me. He's jumping in now.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's coming up in just a second. We're going to talk about Bisping. We're going to talk about Dolph Lundgren. We're going to talk about getting packages from FedEx with him. He's a good man. You may know him. He's done like fucking every important documentary in this country, and he was
did
basically
the weed
his documentary was the doc that the government used to get everybody to say,
yes,
Canada, let's legalize the weed. So he's an important figure in our history of weed smoking in this country.
Yep.
Is what he is.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. Also, we've got some more fallout from the Jagmeet Singh accosting yesterday in Peterborough. A massive announcement, too, for Peterborough police. That thing is taking off today. Like, you wouldn't believe the engagement, how fucking mad people are about that. It's nuts. We're going to talk about 4 or 5 grown adults pretending to be politicians during the Conservative debate last night. We're going to get into Jordan Peterson as well. But please welcome to the program, documentarian in his car, L.A., Edmonton, I don't know. Adam Scorgie, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Scorge.
How are you doing, gentlemen? Thanks. Yo.
What are you doing? Where are you?
I am in Edmonton currently. I'm not traveling. I am here. I'm just getting ready so that we can talk longer because I got to pick up the kids after this and then head to Calgary. So I wanted to have as long to chat as possible. So I figure if I'm in the car and I'm in front of the school, then when the wife texts like, "Hey, are you picking up the boys?" I'm like, I'm at the school already. Don't worry about it. I'm here.
Can we get a display of road rage?
No, I those I do not want on camera. I do actually have a road rage incident on file where I had to go through alternative measures for 2 weeks.
Come on.
Yes,
Come on.
I 100% did.
What'd you do?
Well, I got cut off by this guy. Then he flicked me the bird, and then I happened to just be right next to him at the red light, right? Mm-hmm. So I couldn't resist. His window's down, and on my window's down, I leaned over. I forget. We can swear in here, right, brother?
A whole lot, yeah. If you don't, we're gonna kick you out.
Yeah, okay. So I leaned over and I said, "Hey." I'm like, you better get ready to answer the bell if you're gonna flick some of the birds, you fucking pussy, right? And then his face, like he went like, he was like all tripped out, and then his girlfriend started squawking at me, and then I may or may not have accidentally in our argument lost control of my Red Bull can that was in my hand, and it hit their window, and it splashed on her. So
shit happens like that, man, all the time.
Yeah,
when
right?
you're frustrated, hands get sweaty. I get it.
Exactly. You see, and here's the craziest part. In all my days of growing up in boxing and being in 1 or 2 accidental fisticuffs, that was the only actual assault charge I've ever received was for my Red Bull can accidentally hitting his fucking car. I was like,
you pointed out several times it was an accident. I can't believe they didn't fucking believe you.
Right?
Bullshit.
Like it was, well, they said I threw a glass bottle, which was easily corrected because I was like, well, did you find glass on premise? Because if I threw a glass, I used back what the cop said to me because he was like, hey, you're a pretty built guy, buff. You weren't threatened. Like, come on, you can level with me. You just threw it at him. And my lawyer's like, don't let this buddy cop bullshit. Don't you admit shit. You say, nope, lost control. And he's like, come on, Adam, you can level with me. And you're a big guy. You probably just got mad and you threw it, right? And I was like, no, I didn't throw it. I accidentally fell out. And if it was glass, like you said, I'm a big guy. If I would have thrown a glass bottle at that window, there'd be a lot more than a fucking 2-inch little scratch on the door. I can tell you that. So anyway, so I had to do 2 weeks of alternative measures. I learned how to control, and my wife didn't think it was very funny when I brought home my anger management certificate. I was going to hang it up and use it anytime we were in an argument to just be like, babe, I've been certified in anger management. She threw that shit out instantly when we got it. She was like, I was like, hey, I had friends over and they thought it was a joke. They're like, "You didn't really get an anger management certificate." I'm like, "No, I really did. I went to go show them." And then I'm like, "Babe," I'm like, "Where the hell's my anger management certificate?" She was like, "Oh, I fucking threw that out the moment you brought it home. Get out of here." Like, that was.
I can't believe that they say so. They send you away to anger management school, you have one too, Lachlan. Oh my god, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, I hung mine up at work.
That's so
It's on my desk.
It's a Western Canada rite of passage, apparently.
I wanted to have that, and they wouldn't. Like, my wife took away that privilege from me. I'm quite upset.
I'll tell you what.
But I know how to control my temper, so I didn't get too upset.
That's a lie. You and I both fucking know it. Like, listen, you guys are great.
I'll photocopy mine and I'll send you a copy. You can just scratch my name
same way. But tell me about the anger management. Like, what is that course like? Is it like 2 days a week and a couple of 2-day follow-ups? Is it like intense training?
Look, I don't know what yours was like, but man, I had to go. I think it was like I think it was a month where I had to go every Saturday and Sunday for 8-hour courses a day, and I knew right away that I was like, I'm not usually like the golden student in class, but when I looked at who a lot of the other people were in here, like it ended up being like a super cold month in Alberta. So I ended up giving half the class rides because they didn't have cars and driver's licenses. And so I was like, yeah, I'll give you a ride. Yeah. Lauren always be like, fuck, I thought your course was done at 6. You're home at 8. I'm like, well, I gave 4 of the class members rides home. They're like, Jesus. So I was like,
that doesn't sound like a very angry guy.
Right? I was it was the only time I was like the valedictorian of anger management class.
Where were you?
I was like,
I was out for drinks with my anger management group.
Normally I was the guy getting kicked out of class. I was an A student in that class.
Yeah, I bet you were, because you wanted to get the fuck out of that class, right? Like, that was the whole thing.
I did. And well, this made it so that the big thing for me is because I travel all the time, I could not have anything on my record for the States, right? So I towed the line. I was like bringing the teacher apples. I was a grade A student there.
Yeah,
I was not screwing up anything.
So was that like, was it mandated? So you were either going to get charged or you had to go take this course, this anger management course. And listen, if you're one of those guys, before I get into this any further, if you're one of those guys that likes to flip guys the bird with no intention at all of having that guy follow you to your destination and fight that guy, don't flip people the fucking bird like Adam Scorgie or Lachlan Cross. There's the fucking lesson. Seriously, if your whole goal is to hide behind your window,
common sense.
That's the lesson. It's not about controlling.
Hey, and I'm okay with just a casual, like, hey, fuck you, you cut me off. This guy hung out the window, just about fell out of his car and was like, fuck you. And I was like, whoa, like it scared the shit out of me at first, right? Like I was like, whoa. I'm like, dude. And then I caught my breath, and then we ended up being parked right next to each other. I'm like, hey, where's that tough guy attitude now? It got quiet real quick.
Oh, yeah, dude, it does. Especially when have you ever, like, gotten into with a guy at a red light? Have you done that? Is that what you did?
Yeah.
That's why you got...
I have
I've followed people home, and I've caved in their taillights with a bat before. Yeah, that was like 15 years ago, though. And it was like this, and, the funny part is it is the same impetus, and the impetus was a bird after someone cut me off, and I'm like, I honk at them, and I pull up next to him, and the funny part was it wasn't even the driving husband that gave me the finger. It was the little lady in the fucking passenger seat. She leans in, she goes like this, fuck you. Yeah. I cut you off. Don't you dare fucking honk at me. And I rolled my window down, and I'm like, you cut me off and you're giving me the finger? And the guy goes, why don't you follow me to my house and I'll give you more than a finger? I'm like, fucking game on. I had
he invited you. That's yeah.
He invited me, and I'm driving like a little Volkswagen Jetta. Like, I'm 29, 30 years old. I've got a bat in the back of my car because my ex-wife was like, you drive downtown all the time in Toronto. You should probably take it back because you go down there every morning and just protect yourself. I'm like, fuck, whatever. Put the bat in my car. So I was like super thankful that day because I'm like, good, I'm going to get a chance to use this fucking bat. We get to the guy's house, and he and his wife literally, as I'm pulling up, run in. And I just nonchalantly reach in the back, grab my bat, cave in his taillights. I sit there for a second, and I go, I live at 34 John Drive if you would like to come and find me. My name is Dean. Thank you very much, everybody. And I left. And not a word. And I gave those guys credit because I thought, well, they probably know the natural consequences of pissing someone off who's much bigger than them is probably something like this. And they're like, yeah, we shouldn't have done it. But I've had experiences where people have called the cops on me after running into me, after yelling at me. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Why do they do this with you? And it's like it's almost like putting on skates. You know, you got those buddies that play rec league, right? You put skates on them and they just turn into like legitimate pieces of shit, like out of nowhere. Same thing if you put a fucking steering wheel in front of certain people. All they want to do is tell you you're inconveniencing them, and they want to be real tough behind the fucking windshield. That's it. But the second that windshield is removed between guys like Scorgie or Lachlan or myself, they run into the house as fast as
Dean, I already loved you. I loved you even more now that you take that position. Like, because I can't, like, hey, you want to answer? And if I get out and someone smacks me in the face, so be it, and I lose. But that was said to the cop at the end of the day, because he showed me I had to pay a $900 damage to his door, which was clearly like a door opening and hitting the other door, right? Like it was a line like this. I'm like, dude, let's go with a full Red Bull can. You can throw it at my door 10 times and I'm never going to make a dent like that. That's such bullshit. But the cop did say, he goes, well, this is why just nothing from your car should hit his car and have a witness, because then you're screwed. And I was like, and I said, man, I was like, the only thing that got hurt in this situation is the guy's ego, because he got embarrassed in front of his girlfriend. That's the only thing that got hurt. I'm like, if I was actually getting charged, because I got charged for assault for that. I was like, if I'm actually getting charged for assault for a Red Bull can accidentally hitting his car, I was like, I should have actually punched him in the face. That would have been worth it.
I love the fact that you hang on to the accidentally hit his car.
Accidentally. Well, just in case somebody's listening, right?
Statute of limitations aren't up yet.
Accidentally hit his car, right? Then I was like, I said to the cop, I'm like, I should have fucking hit the guy, because I would have been charged exactly the same. He's like, yeah. He's like, whether you punch him in the face or did. I'm like, I didn't even know you get a charge for it. That's assault. Like, even my wife thought she was kidding when she's like, where were you? You were gone for 4 hours. I'm like, well, they actually fucking arrested me and put me in a holding cell for 4 hours, right? And fingerprinted me. She's like, shut up. No, they didn't. I'm like, yeah, they did. She's like, no, you're lying. I'm like, because again, like, we grew up, we inherited a nightclub when my dad died, been in fight. Like, she's like, out of all the things you've been involved in, this is what you got arrested for? I'm like, I know, ridiculous, right? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like,
I remember one time I was in Vancouver and I got into one of these on the road, and the guy was in a vehicle. He was in a Volkswagen van, and he looked big, but I'm a big guy. Like, I'm 6'4", I'm 240 pounds. I can hold my own. And he pulled into a gas station, so I zipped in behind him, and I'm still beaking. I'm still mad, and I'm out of my car, and he pours out of his car, and he must have been 6'9", 300 pounds, and I'm like, Locke, you just made the mistake of your life. So I'm like, all good, brother.
Yeah.
Got back in my car and I fucked off.
Terribly sorry. Was just kidding.
The guy was a monster. I've been out of my car more times than I can count.
You got to be ready for that one too. If you get out of the car, you better be ready to answer the bell too, or kiss ass big time and say, very sorry, I was talking to the other guy, not you.
I seem to have made a terrible mistake in life choice in this moment.
Yeah, dude. And that's
you
the thing,
are
right?
the man. I should have flicked myself the bird, and have a good day.
Yeah.
You're right, sir. Fuck me. You're right. Thank you very much. Fuck me. See you later. Dude, that's all self-preservation. I've done that too, where I've been Mr. Tough Guy. I've gotten out of the car, seen the guy across the street. There was another time where a dude, I've gotten a fight with a guy in front of a Sunoco gas station. It's not far from my house. And I'm like, you want to fucking go? He goes, I do. I go, pull over to that parking lot. This is like 2 years ago, too. Like, 48-year-old guy, like a 28-year-old dude, just want to fight. He's like, I do. And I'm like, all right, let's pull into the Sunoco parking lot. He gets out of the car, goes, are you Dean Blundell? I go, yeah. He goes, I can't fight you. And I go, thanks, man, because you're huge.
I got one more, and then we can carry on. So
all right, then we'll get into real tough guys like Dolph Lundgren and Michael Bisping.
Yeah. I'll tell this story. You guys will like this. So I'm on 124th, and I'm driving up, and I'm looking, and there's a kid in the other. I'm going south, Adam, and there's a kid in the other lane on a bike, and he's playing chicken with cars. He's going right at them, and I'm like, you little fucking dick. So I drive up beside him, and I roll my window down, and he didn't see me, and I went, you are going to have a problem. Get off the fucking road. And I kind of jerked my wheel at him. Yeah. And then he got off the road, got on the sidewalk, went over to the lights where we stopped. and started beaking me. Fucking old man, what do you got, small dick? And I got out of my car and I started walking at him. And I'm like, holy shit. None of this is going to end well, Locke. Get back in the car. If I go over there and I get beat up by a 16-year-old kid, which probably would happen, it's embarrassing. Or I go over there and I beat the shit out of a 16-year-old kid. No one saw what he was doing and why I'm doing it. It's a 50-year-old man beating the shit out of a 16-year-old kid.
A lot of embarrassment
in this scenario. Just let the dick go. So I just got pulled away.
Yeah, you got to let it go.
My way over.
Yeah, well, you can't. You got to be smarter than that. Sorry, Lynch, didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, I just found it very coincidental that guy you got out with knew who you were, because every time I get start shit on the road, I say, yeah, my name's Dean Blundell.
Dude,
and then they want to punch you. Then they want to punch you more once you say that.
People, I've had that happen too, where I've gotten a phone call from somebody's like, yeah, you bought something from us 2 weeks ago and left your name here and didn't sign for anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, Flagstaff, Arizona, you bought a stereo system from us. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't do that. Anyway, Michael, sorry, Adam Scorgie is here. At Adam Scorgie is where you can follow him on Twitter, obviously. Documentarian, filmmaker, and love your stuff, obviously. We've had you on the show before. We've talked about your work. You've got a couple other things out, and I want to get to them in just a second. One is the Dolph Lundgren documentary, which I cannot wait to talk to you about, that you're involved in, because Dolph is doing this himself. At least that's what I heard a couple of years ago, and all of a sudden, here's Adam Scorgie because you're the documentarian that everybody wants to work with. So I want to get to that. But I want to talk about Bisping for a second, because I don't know if anybody's seen the Bisping doc, your doc, and we've talked about it. It's been out for a couple of years. It is so fucking good, and now it's starting to gain even more momentum. It's almost like that Nirvana record, Nevermind. Do you remember that? Where it was out for a year and a half, and people were like, yeah, it's great, you got to watch it. And then it just starts to move. Then it starts to groove. But I want to ask you about not just the documentary and the success. A, did you think it would be as successful as it is, or is it just the story that continues to resonate with people, how much this guy had to overcome?
Well, we knew we had something special where, because it really is, you guys have seen it. It's the real life Rocky story, except Bisping did it with one fucking eye, right? The whole time, whereas Rocky just had it for the one fight, right? So the reason it had that kind of slow release and now it's exploding is because we the way we fund it, right? We fund it through Canada and through Super Channel. So Super Channel had it here first for almost a year, but then the international release happened, right? And then that's where Universal Pictures came in. Studio giant, which I got to, because we still geek out over that. Even when we were in the theater doing the Manchester premiere and the big Universal at the Planet,
How fucked was that?
Oh, it's even the lady from Universal goes, she's like, every filmmaker still geeks out when they see that on the front of their film. I was like, I was just thinking that when we did it, because it was the test run. It is. It's so special when you see that. You grew up seeing the older versions of that, and you see it now, and now to be under there, and then to get the email a month after it releases, the Universal marketing team emails us and just goes, guys, this is the numbers. Not only did we hit #1 documentary in the UK, we hit #1 documentary on iTunes in the United States and in Australia. They're like, this has now become one of the most successful documentaries that we have ever released straight to VOD. That's a studio saying that, right? That isn't an independent production company here in Canada saying that. Yeah. We were all we knew it was doing good. We knew we had something special, but to have a studio say that about an independent production company's film out of Edmonton of Alberta, I'm actually kind of frustrated, because I've been trying to reach out to a lot of the local media to kind of be like, guys, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but and then they said the only other film that it surpassed that did just as good was Inmate #1, The Rise of Danny Trejo. They're like, Bisping just surpassed it. Which those are both of our films, right? Back-to-back studio releases that were commercial successes, giant commercial successes with a studio produced out of Edmonton, Alberta. I can't believe I'm actually getting crickets from the local media. I'm like, none of you guys want to do a story on this? I'm like,
dude, it's huge. I read that this morning. I was going through some of your tweets, and obviously I follow you, and I watched Bisping. If you haven't seen it, fuck, you have to watch it. It's maybe the best doc I've ever seen. As you say, it's a real life Rocky story. It's legitimately the real life Rocky story. It really, really is. And when you watch it, it's so well fucking put together. You guys did such a great job at your studio, obviously.
Thank you.
But the thing is that nobody notices in Canada any Canadian success, right? It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah,
And
horrible at promoting ourselves.
Yeah,
too.
we're awful. We're awful.
Well,
and
then soon as you reach
because
a
all
certain
they
level,
care
we
about,
shit on you.
Well, yeah, but all they care about in this country is it Canadian content, and for that is legitimately Canadian content. And the fact that Canadian content isn't being rewarded or talked about in this country is mind-blowing to me. Like fucking crazy because of how huge this documentary is. And if you see it, you can't believe more people aren't talking about it, Adam.
Well, and that's and again, like to carry that vent a little, like I actually sent out a press release, right? And then the Canadian big trades were like, we want more details. So then I forwarded them the email from Universal, which you really shouldn't do, but because they actually had some of the numbers of how much was sold and stuff like that. But then the Universal guy said we're trending at this point, which was, I'll let you guys know, well over $250,000 in rental or transactions, right? Like meaning not the dollar amount, but how many had either been rented or purchased in the first. And they were talking about for the fiscal year. This was 6 weeks after it released, right? But then the Canadian trades were like, well, they're speculative in saying it's going to be well over 200,000. Like, because it's speculative, we're not interested. And I'm like, he's talking about, he doesn't know exactly until the reports come back, whether it's 250,000 or 225,000. But even if it's just 200,000, it's set a record already. Like, why are you guys going? Or how about, screw the numbers, how about just 2 back-to-back studio releases from an independent production company in Edmonton, Alberta? I was like, we can't even find companies out of Toronto or Vancouver that have accomplished, documentary companies that have done back-to-back studio releases. We couldn't find another company that had even done that. So I'm like, how about you do the story just on that alone? 2 studio films within years. During COVID, we released these things too. Nah, didn't want to get back. I'm just like, okay. And at some point, I'm like, you feel like an ass trying to continually promote you and your team. But I'm like, man, I would have thought that would have been a great, like, especially all the negative news out there with the war and COVID still on our heels and everything else. I'm like, isn't it great, like, you know, Canadian success story when so many businesses went out of business that you can say this one did well? No, no one really seemed to care. I was like, wow, okay.
Especially when we're looking for good news stories, right? We're looking for good news stories. We're looking for ways to promote Canadiana. Like I'm watching, and we follow this shit closely. Where you know the online harms bill and the online news bill and the content bill and how they talk about discoverability for really good worldwide Canadian content is really important to the government of Canada. Well, it is kind of. Sure, you can get grants for it, but then you also have to be able to get past that brick wall of the Canadian media, right? And if they don't like you, dude, like if those cabals of Canadian media don't like you, they don't want to have anything to do with you. So maybe there's a good chance one of the guys that runs Canadian media was in the car that you threw your Red Bull at accidentally.
Or maybe he knows I'm a regular guest on the Dean Blundell show, and
there's
that's caused some problems.
That could be it.
Yeah.
So tell me, back to Bisping, and then I want to move on to Dolph Lundgren because this fucking story is incredible. What's going on with Bisping and Logan Paul? Because when I saw that Bisping called out Logan and Jake Paul, and he's like, fuck you guys, fight a real person. And this is the comment he made. He started out with Ben Askren, who was 37, coming off hip replacement, speaking of these fucking weird professional fucking fights that the Paul brothers like to engineer for hundreds of millions of dollars. It works, I guess. Then he went on to Tyron Woodley, who's 40, a wrestler with the right hand, and now he's calling me and Oscar De La Hoya out. At this rate, the next person he boxes is going to be the old guy that Conor McGregor punched in the bar. What do you know about this? And is there like a move to have those two guys scrap? Because I would love it.
So I talked to Bisping a little bit because this came up originally before, right? Like, the Paul brothers, I have many dislikes about them, but one thing they do know is they do know how to start stuff online and trend, and they're really good at creating. But they know they want other people that are going to bring in the numbers, right? But they also, like Bisping does, they're always clever at selecting people that they can cherry pick and look impressive. Like, not to mention all the names you just listed, Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren, they're like 40 pounds less than Jake Paul too. They're not even in the right weight class either, right? So Bisping had come up right after Ben Askren or before Tyron. And I remember we were still kind of wrapping up production. So I remember this and I said, hey, Biz, is there any truth to this? He's like, their manager did originally reach out. Then we replied with a number, and Bisping said, look, I have no desire to fight, but I'd gladly take a couple $1 million in pay-per-view share to box the shit out of this guy. And he's like, I would be your best opponent. And they went back with an offer and said, yeah, if you want to do it to get me out of retirement, to do it. It's like, you know, it was a ridiculous amount of money because Bisping's like, I really don't like a lot of fighters. I'm happy in my retirement. I'm not looking to fight. But he's like, I do miss the element of training for something and having a goal and working hard. Like, I do miss that. So he's like, for that, I would come out of retirement. And these guys, he's like, and I'm not worried about getting hurt against these guys. So he replied, and then it went crickets. And then I swear, I haven't talked to Bisping last, but I swear, and there's even some people on Twitter that said this, is that after the documentary release, and it was all over the news, it was trending in BBC and everything else, and Bisping, I swear that's when Jake brought it up again, right? He was like, fuck, Bisping's everywhere. He'd be a good guy to shout out right now. His film's getting released. Like we were trending on Twitter, and Dana White had shared it. So Jake then made that comment of like, yeah, these guys are on my list to get smoked next. And then that's when Bisping's just a cheeky, as you see in the film, and then he's really a witty, clever guy. Right. So then that's when he replied what you kind of read there. And he's like, surely I'm not actually on your list because I'm actually of your weight class, Jake. Like, surely you want a guy that's like 40, 50 pounds lighter. I am in the right age category with 2 replaced knees, blind in one eye, retired, out of shape. Like, yes, all those I meet, but I'm actually your weight class. And I would speed bag you. So you probably didn't mean to put me on your list. And then when he did that, Jake had to respond. And then him and Bisping's loving the attention too, right? He knows how to play the media as well. So he's like, look, I really do have no interest in fighting him. But if you want to put a giant payday, I'm not worried about getting hurt either. So then that company in Calgary actually said, hey, the indigenous, the reserve out there was like, hey, we'll get you licensed. Because that was the big thing is now that it's out between the doc and he's out at like his eyes glass, right? He's like, I'm not going to get cleared to fight, right? Like I was hiding that. As we talk in the doc for his last like 9 fights, last 6 years of his career. So he's like, I'm not going to get, that was also why I think Jake didn't think he could get cleared to fight. Right. So he's like, oh, I'll call him out, get all this buzz and it won't happen. But then, you know, Bisping was able to get an indigenous band to get him. And he's like, hey, we'll go. And then that's when Jake's final thing was like, you don't dictate where it is. I dictate where it is. I'm the money man. Fuck you or whatever. And Bisping's like, okay, I guess you don't want to fight because I can get cleared in Calgary. We could set it up for August, put in a training camp. He really doesn't want to fight Bisping. Bisping is actually a good boxer. And you've seen, you're not the heart of that man. Like you'd have to kill him. He would provide so much more competition, not to insult the other fighters that went in there. Bisping has the best hands out of them. He actually boxed amateur. Like he's like, and I'm not worried about, and he's the proper weight class. So Jake's power, the main thing he has, isn't going to seem impressive for someone that actually has the proper footwork and knows how to move around the ring and can actually avoid. And I mean, even Tyrone Woodley, the first fight they had went the distance and he's like 40 pounds lighter. Right. So it wasn't until the second fight that he caught him. Right. So Jake wants no business of actually fighting.
No, I don't think he wants business of fighting any of these guys either. That's why he picks guys that are way below his weight class, that have been out of the game for a long period of time. And I'm sure there's a nudge wink too, like, hey, listen, you're getting $2 million. So am I getting 40 million? But here's the nudge wink. You're getting 2 million. So don't fucking wreck my face and go down in this round if you can. But that's the shine for me, right? Like that's kind of what I enjoy is like I'm trying to figure out what these guys talk about prior to the show. Like what is
and that's, you know, and the one thing that is sad, the one good thing that the Paul brothers are doing is they're exposing, like, because I think they said both Ben Askren and Tyrone made more in those fights than they made in their entire career with the other stuff, right? So
crazy.
That stuff it is nice to see. And that's where even Bisping has complimented the Paul brothers, being like, hey, like all the power to you. You're making money, you're changing, you're putting people on their toes, challenging to how much people should get paid.
Even Dana White said that. Even Dana White kind of admitted that. Like he's like, they're good promoters.
Yeah.
Right. I hate the little shits. Good promoters.
Yeah, they are. They're great promoters. But I had to know because I'm fascinated with this whole Paul tour and because I watched sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, sorry, Dan, I cut you off. I was just saying there was actually offers made and everything. So just never once Bisping actually said, yeah, I'll do it. And here's my number. Then it got quiet real quick.
You know what it was like? It was, of course, it did. Yeah,
became like the loudmouth in the car that road rages. And
yeah. No, it's just I after you watch the Bisping. So when you see this Bisping documentary, it's like a new Rocky movie coming out. You're like, oh my God. And you don't even like Rocky 14. Who cares? I just want to see him come back for the nostalgia of it. When you watch the doc, you're like, okay, I want to watch that guy kick Jake Paul's ass, which is why I asked. Dolph Lundgren. fascinating that you have this doc, because I read a couple of years ago he was producing his own doc on his own.
How did this happen?
Yeah.
So this is that classic lesson, you know, that our parents always taught us to treat others as you want to be treated, and just be good in business, and it's a small world, and don't burn bridges. So Doc's agent is also Michael Bisping's agent, right? Dolph's agent. Then said, hey, like after he'd seen the cut of the film and Bisping was going to release, we got the Universal deal. He approached us. It was like, man, he's like, you know, man, I want to do something else with you guys. Like, Bisping raves about you. The film's amazing. Like, you know, how do we keep this going? And I'm like, well, who else do you represent? And he named some other people on his Rolodex, and Dolph Lundgren came up. And, you know, those that only know him for the Rocky movie, for me, he was really special. Like, I was a total 80s action heroes guy. So, like, Masters of the Universe, I know a lot of people don't love that movie. I fucking love that movie. As a kid, I was 7-8 years old. I love that movie. When you see the first scene with Dolph Lundgren and he's in his He-Man gear, to me, I was like, that's what fucking He-Man looks like right there. That's him. Like, he looks like Dolph Lundgren. And then also, like, I watched Red Scorpion, and he was in, you know, Big Trouble. Like, he was in the movie with Brandon Lee, and he was the original Punisher. I've watched all of his stuff. Like, I grew up in that, like, where I literally used to tell my parents, like, anything with Arnold, Dolph, Van Damme, or Stallone, just get it, and I will watch it. I enjoyed that. Was my generation. So the opportunity to work with Dolph, when the agent brought it, I was like, hell yeah. And then we put a proposal together and sent our stuff. And then, you know, he went out to, and then also the manager had to get involved, who Craig, who's a great guy. He's also Dolph's close friend. A lot of times managers are personal friends as well as business partners. And then he was working on a movie with Bisping, like Never Back Down. So Bisping's like, don't worry, bro, I put in a great word for you. He's like, I think this is a done deal. So then we ended up like it was just all this great feedback. And then we had, you know, we sent Dolph Bisping to watch, and we sent him Inmate to watch. And he was like, man, your stuff's incredibly slick. And all my business partners around me are like saying, like, all your paperwork looks great. And he's like, I was expecting it to be a much longer process. As soon as Dolph and I got on a Zoom, he's like, how do we move forward? What are the next steps? And I'm like, well, do you want to see? They're like, no. They're like, you've already come with a glowing review from everyone around me. So let's move forward. Let's go. How do we do it? You guys
piece together stories really well, Adam. I want to say that out loud, right? Like, and from what I've watched of your documentaries, I've watched 3 or 4 of them now. The thing that I find is they're absolutely seamless, and you guys are just really good at laying out and you're really good at making sure that the right points need to be highlighted. In that Bisping doc, if you haven't watched it, you got to watch it. The thing that really stands out is the difference between Bisping's character in the ring and then out of the ring, right? And you get a really strong sense of the fact that both of them really, really fucking made a difference in their lives, right? In his life, right? Yeah. And I want to say that for me, I did not know that Bisping was a good guy.
Yeah, I know, right? He sold himself as a villain. That's where, if you hear the director and I talking, everybody said, what made you want to do it? It's like, obviously we knew a little bit about Bisping. We didn't know about the eye. He revealed that when we met. But when we met him, we're like, oh my God, like, we have to, like, holy cow. Like, he's so funny and he's witty and he's super, like, as you see, he's all about his kids. Like, the persona of the villain and everything, that was all just to sell. Kind of like Jake Paul, right? Like, you want to see him lose. And Bisping knew that, and he embraced it, and he embraced the wit and the humor. But when you actually see that he's been with Rebecca since they were 19 years old, he's all about his kids. Like, he's an amazing guy. And the director, I thought, did such a great job of being like, Adam, like, we have to show that this guy was once one of the most hated guys in the UFC.
Yeah.
And now he's one of the most beloved. And that was one of the coolest, when the film first released and Twitter was blowing up and everything, that was the coolest tweet or comment to see over and over thousands of times. People were like, I despised you when you entered, and now you probably, after watching your documentary, are my favorite fighter. Right? Like, he has that effect where, like, even me, I said to him when we were friends, I'm like, Biz, when you were on The Ultimate Fighter, my wife and I used to tune in every week, and every week we wanted you to lose. We were like, this fucking cocky Brit needs to lose. And then you keep winning, and we're like, fuck, this guy's won again, right? He's like, he's like, I know. He's like, Adam, I know. He's like, look, and I look back in those videos, I can't even believe I'm like, that guy's disgusting. I don't even know who that guy is, but he's like, I embrace it. I knew to get out of England, like I had to embrace being the cocky British guy because there wasn't a lot of British fighters at the time. So he's like, I knew everyone was going to hate me. Just one fact that I'm British and I sound different. He's like, and then I'm cocky. So like, and you have to be somewhat cocky to believe you can go in there on the world stage to possibly get knocked out by millions. Like you have to have a little bit of that in you. Yeah. You know, GSP is the one guy that isn't like that, but he's such a, you know, a gentleman, but he like a killer in the octagon. But even then, Bisping talks about how building that fight was one of the toughest things he had to do because he's like, I love George. And George agreed to do an interview for the doc right away. He's like, oh, of course, anything for Michael. The two actually super respect each other. But my Michael's like, I had to pretend that I hated him and I had to come. He's like, and George is the hardest guy to pretend to hate. He's such a nice guy. So he's like, literally the one time I showed up a little drunk and that's when George goes, Michael, what, you got your sunglasses? What have you been drinking? And Mike's like, fuck yeah, it's Vegas, buddy. Of course I've been drinking. Fuck you. Right? Like, he's like,
hey, Adam, where, just to get back to the Dolph doc, where are you at with the whole creation of that project right now?
So we've shot about 60-70% right now, and we're actually heading down to New Mexico with Dolph at the end of the month because he's directing a new movie. He's really getting into directing these days because for those that don't know, and Dean, as you'd pointed out, like Dolph was a full ride Fulbright scholarship to MIT. Like he is. It was what he always say, because we'd always say that too, like, Dolph, you're like borderline genius and everything. He's like, no, guys, I was just always a really good student, right? You give me direction and I can follow it. And that's probably why acting worked for me too. Like, I love the process and I love putting in the work, but he's an incredibly smart guy. So we even interviewed his fiance, and even his fiance says, she's like, you know, the joke where most guys can't multitask? She's like, Dolph can multitask better than anybody I've seen. Right? Like he is an incredible, and he was on the national karate team. He's a 3rd-degree karate champion. He was in the military. He boxed competitively. He was actually going to get into professional boxing before he got into acting. And it wasn't until he met Grace Jones, right? That was actually how he got out of his Fulbright scholarship, is he was in the States and he was about to, I think he's in his first semester or just soon to attend at MIT. And then he met Grace Jones because he was a security guard at one of her shows. And he jokes about that, saying, you know, this young Swedish guy was like 21 years old. And this girl invites me, you know, this big Grace Jones at the time, for those who don't know, was an international icon at the time. Photo shoots with Andy Warhol, and her music was really big. She was like, you know, had that really unique, fierce look that was like, she was plastered all over the world. And Dolph couldn't believe he's from this tiny town in northern Sweden, being like, why would she want to meet me? He's like, I quickly found out when I was in her hotel room exactly why she wanted to meet me, and we soon became lovers after that. So she was the one that said, yeah, you need to give up this Fulbright scholarship. She's like, you have a beautiful, unique look. You need to get into movies, into acting. And she was the one that really gave him confidence. And he talked about, you know, a lot of people, you know, maybe grind in the movie career for a long time before they break through. Dolph had a very unique story where he's like, I walked into the premiere of Rocky IV as Grace Jones's boyfriend. Nobody knew my name. Nobody gave a shit. Like she, you know, she was holding my hand and everybody on the red carpet's like, Grace, 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 Grace. He's like, I walked out of the movie theater after the premiere and nobody paid any attention to Grace. They're all like, Dolph, Ivan, Drago, right? And he's like, I walked in as Dolph Lundgren, Grace Jones' boyfriend. I walked out as Dolph Lundgren, the movie star, after that movie.
That's wild.
Yeah,
and
dude,
it's changed after that. Yeah, his trajectory changed after that.
The Grace Jones stuff is incredible, and if you know anything about Dolph Lundgren, his story isn't amazing as it is like just bizarre too, right? Like you know, as smart as he was, and this is from Variety magazine. Beyond screen acting, Lundgren also received a master's degree in chemical engineering. And he's dedicated martial arts. Like, and that's something that he did because he just loves to learn. Like he loves to do it, right? Like, and when you're as accomplished as a guy like that is, there's a point where you crash, and he had a crash at some point, right, in the 90s and 80s. Is he going to talk about like the difficulty that he went through? Is he going to kind of lay that stuff out? Because one of the things I like that he said about this documentary, what he wanted to do, it wasn't a look back. He said he didn't want to have a look back on this incredible career. He wanted to tell the story of a regular person that went through regular shit, and he's just documenting his life and his journey, and that was it, right? Which I respected so much because it wasn't like a vanity piece the way he explained it.
No, he actually has been incredibly open. Like you wish that everybody, so he's opened up big time because he did a TED talk about the reason he was a really great student, or he believes, and really liked acting and the adoration and everything he got from taking on that challenge, is because he was severely abused by his dad. Yeah. And he talks about this in his TED talk, where like his dad kicked the shit out of him and only went after him out of all their siblings, for whatever reason, targeted him. And he found that that's why, like, school, getting accolades and doing well, he was getting positive attention from males and role models that he didn't get at home with his dad, right? And he identifies that now, right? And he really wants to show that everything that is good that has happened to him and all these amazing things is that he's gone through the same kind of battles that the average person has, like abused by his father. He struggled with booze and stuff for a while. He said, I wasn't a great father when his career kind of dipped there for a while. He's like, I wasn't faithful to my wife, that they're not together now. And I wasn't the best father, which he has a great relationship with his daughters. It isn't like they don't, but just you looking back now, you're like, I could have been better. Right. So he's been so open about all that. Like, we've actually been on set with him. It was the last interview we did was really, really emotional. He was crying. Half of our crew was crying because we become such good friends with him now. Like, he's such an endearing, and I know I say this about most of our guys, but I don't know, maybe it's because the docs, we get such a personal, like, they open up so much when you're doing so much work with them, and it gets special that you're in a different place. But I mean, literally, we were all in tears after last one. It was such an emotional day, and all the injuries and stuff he's been through. And so nothing is off the table. He's talked about his wild days with Grace Jones and having sex orgies, to the drug use, to the, like, it's so refreshing that he's just so confident in himself. And that's part of the healing now, that him opening up about his dad and everything. He's like, he's just so comfortable with it. Right. And we had this with Danny too. Like, when you're in recovery, it's such a great spot to interview your client, because they've already been through these sessions and they talk about everything. So they're just so open. Where it struggles in docs is if we have people that don't want to go there. Like, then it's like, you can see it, and audiences are smart now. They can tell when someone's lying and not being, when they're being deceitful. And no matter how much editing we do, if you're not being genuine on screen, when we're shooting you with cinematic cameras that are $100,000, right? Like, the audience will read through that in a heartbeat now. I mean, we see fake politicians all the fucking time. We're sick of that. That's why people love a good doc, is when it's genuine and authentic, and it's going to get an emotional response out of you. That's what we're looking for when we watch it.
Vulnerability, right? Like, it's the hallmark of a connection with people, is can someone be vulnerable? And when you see a guy like that has been through it, and he wants to tell the story of going through it, having it all, maybe losing some of it, and a look back on how he did life, from a really vulnerable perspective, where they say, hey, listen, these are the things that I did, and I'm not proud of them, but they're all part of my journey. It's powerful on one hand, and it's also motivational on the other hand for a lot of people that watch that stuff too, right? That's the connection. It's like, there are so many people walking around, which is what you do so well in your documentaries. Like, there's this humanistic perspective that you tell that goes alongside the story of an individual, but that vulnerability that you, I don't know, do you chase it down in your documentaries, or is it just that idea that, hey, listen, we want all of you, because all of you is going to relate to these people. And I find that some of the best traction that we get here is when we're vulnerable from those positions as well, where we say, hey, listen, this is something that we deal with, whether I write a story on the why I don't drink and my journey through that, whether we sit around and we talk about how to be better individuals. That's like this thing that everybody wants in their life, is how do I get better? And then they see stories of other people getting better, and you want to listen to them because you think there might be a life hack, or you think that, man, I'm all wrong and that guy's all right. What did he do to get all right? And that's what you do so well.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Dean. I really appreciate that compliment. We try, all our directors always try to tell the human aspect of the story. Sure, we do big commercial people that, are going to reach a broad audience, but the idea is always, if you don't know Dolph Lundgren and we're able to get you, if you watch this at a film festival, you're on a plane and it's there, we want you to be like, I had no idea, or I knew him as Ivan Drago, I recognize the face, but at the end, they're like, I have a whole new adoration for that person because I connected on a human level. Like, you're not going to connect on the Hollywood side. That's the fun chapter where you can kind of get in there or introduce like why you might recognize this person. But what everybody is always attracted to, even when you watch, that's what a good comic book movie and everything's supposed to do too, is they're supposed to add the human elements that we can all relate to, right? When you see a physique like Dolph Lundgren, and that's an interesting story for the Rockies, is originally the way Stallone wanted to cast it is they wanted to get a very different looking Russian. They wanted him to have like a big beard, be hairy, bald, scary, like gorilla, bite your head off. And then when Dolph came in and he did his audition so stoically and simple, it was just like Dolph did it from the perspective that he was his hero, right? Like he was Russia's hero. Whereas all the other people auditioning as Russians were Americans trying to make, like they were trying to play a villain. Where him having kind of, you know, being from Sweden originally and kind of that Scandinavian look at everything, just being, well, if I was from Russia and I was fighting for them, like I would probably love my country and I would be their hero. But to Rocky, you're the imposer. And when he came in, Stallone said right away, he's like, Dolph was so good looking and looked like something that Russia and Germany had created in a lab during the war, right? That he's like, no, that needs to be my opponent, because he's like, every girl's going to want him, even though he's Russian, they're not supposed to. And every guy's going to hate him, not only because they want to root for Rocky, but because they're like, fuck him. He looks too good. He's perfectly built. And he's everything that, like, screw him.
Hold on.
So
have you been interviewing, you've been interviewing Stallone for this thing? Of course you have been.
We got to interview Stallone. Dude, get this. So within
you
2
talked
days,
to Sly?
dude,
did you meet Sly?
we met Sly and we met Arnold within a 2-day. So here's where you get to geek out, right? This is where
wicked.
I'm taking off the I'm a cool filmmaker hat and just get to be a geek. So we're literally setting up for the Stallone interview. We'd worked on it for a month, what day, where everything, and working with his publicist, how long we got half an hour. So we go in, so everybody understands, like when we have an interview like that, we go in to set up the lighting 4 hours early, to load in all the gear, to set it up so that when Stallone comes in and we have 25 minutes or half an hour, he just comes in, mics up, and we're ready to go, right? There's nothing all the lighting's been tweaked. We've tried every angle. And even with that, Stallone's people are like, look, his publicist is like, he's such a pro. Just leave the mic in his makeup room that you're doing. He'll mic himself and walk in and we're good to go. We're like, okay. So we interview Stallone as Stallone's just about to come in. Then we get a call. My producing partner, Shane Fennessy, goes, hey, what could make this production trip even better? And I was like, oh, that Arnold confirmed for while we're here. And he's like, yep, tomorrow at 9 a.m. And I'm like, you're kidding. And he's like, no. And we're like, one moment we're super fucking pumped, but two, we're like, okay, where, when, okay, we have to set up. Okay, we have to totally redo our schedule tomorrow. Because again, we have to have the 3 hours of prep. And they're like, yeah, he said, just come down to Gold's Gym at 11 a.m. and we'll be ready for you. And we're like, no, like, but there's all these other people around. And so we had to go to Gold right after Stallone. We had to pack up. We had to head to Venice Beach and go to the Gold's Gym and say, listen, I know you guys never shut down, but we need you to shut down for a couple hours. And we need to set this up. And they were like, it's not going to happen. And then we're like, well, it's for Arnold. And they're like, they were saying, they're like, Arnold gets anything he wants, so we'll shut down half the gym for a couple hours. Right. And we're like, thank you. And dude, it was so, I literally, this is where I always were professionals on set and we do what we have to do and we bang it out. But I literally, when Arnold goes to sit down, I called my dad to geek out and be like, Dad, I interviewed Stallone yesterday and I'm about to interview Arnold fucking Schwarzenegger next. I just had to tell you, like, I'm geeking out right now. You used to get all the movies for me. And my dad's like, okay, tell him I'll be back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to say that, but yeah, thank you. Like, no,
Dad's like,
I'd be lying.
go Terminator, do it.
Yeah, be like, I'll be back. Yeah, and all the jokes and everything. Yeah, but it was awesome. Like it really a childhood dream. We got a great photo with Arnold afterwards, and it was it's those are those moments where we geek out. And it's funny because here's an itch.
No kidding.
We all realized too that you set up so much prep, and then the interview's only like half an hour. So my wife and my dad are like, are you guys gonna go out and celebrate now? We're like, look, we just had something to eat and we had one beer and we're all exhausted because you're on such high like anxiety and stress alert that just something could go wrong, right? Like we're setting up, and even while we just start interviewing Arnold and it's in Gold's kind of half in their outdoor section, there's this cool brick wall. And then there's all these transient homeless people there. And all of a sudden these dogs start fighting and barking. And I fucking sprint around. I'm like, get those fucking dogs to shut up. Right. Like, it's like, we only got half an hour and I can't have them. Like, you're so high anxiety and want everything to just go perfect. And you're dealing with real people too, where, you guys deal this with interviews. Somebody gets mad or whatever and they don't want to do it. So when we interviews and the footage was backed up and it was on the computer, I think we were all in bed by like 8 o'clock that night. We're done. Couldn't keep our eyes open. We were so tired. We're just
that's wild.
We did it.
It's all that stress, wondering what's going to happen. Like if you've ever had to interview somebody or in any kind of capacity, and they're sitting in front of you and they're doing you a favor, right? Like it's like, thank you for this. You're giving me your time, and those guys don't have a lot of time because they're very fucking famous, and everybody wants their time. And it's the one thing that they can't get more of, right? So when they choose to sit down with you, you're trying to manage all the variables and all those things you can't control. So when you hear them, you're on fucking high alert. Like I've been on podcasts where like audio hasn't worked and the guy's giving us our time, and the sweat starts to pour down my fucking back where I'm like, this guy is hating my life.
It was me
right
Sunday.
now.
Oh, Dean, you nailed it. It's all those you're worried about. Like that's why we go 4 hours early, because you're triple checking every camera. Are the footage backed up? You got the drives. As the sound, if the sound boom goes down, do you have another one to kick in right away?
How sweet would it have been if someone didn't check the gate or even fucking put something in the gate? No, there's no SD card in there. We didn't get the audio. Like, how pissed would you have been if that was your experience with Arnold or Sly? Where it's like, ooh, Adam, I forgot to hit the record button.
Well, this is why we always record on 2 or 3 cameras even, right? And why we put a lav and a boom so that if one goes down, you've still always got the other. Those are all the things we hedge for, because like you said, these guys are so busy, and we never pay for interviews. It's if they want to do it, right? And they both love Dolph and were willing to do it and wanted to donate their time, but they said, yeah, you got half an hour and that's it, right? Like we are busy. We are coming to do it. Like so,
I got an alcoholic midget that's in charge of all the videos we do in the locker room.
Great.
There's always something that goes fucking sideways, and I've almost killed him. I swear to God, there's going to be a death in our building one day.
Dude, he's talking about interviewing Schwarzenegger and Stallone. You're talking about how the little person you have on your show doesn't archive things well.
Yeah. He grabs his phone with his mitts all the time like this because his hands are so small. And so we go in to film this stupid fucking video for this stupid fucking contest we're doing. And I drag all of my lawn equipment into the bathroom at work. Like everything, like fucking pumps and blowers and rakes and everything. We film this thing. It takes us like 35 minutes to get everything into the fucking bathroom. We film it, and he goes, Locke, I don't want to talk about it. And he just leaves. And the next day, he shows me the video, and it's just smudged. I'm like, I'm going to fucking kill you. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, dude, that's why you're a radio guy, and radio guys don't do that stuff.
Artistic
filter. Don't hire Jimmy to do video.
Locke, that's a great lesson where that's why, too, we always, the moment you're done with the footage, too, is we go right to the house, and you make 2 copies of it, and they all sit in separate places, right? Because a drive crash, your computer gets stolen, camera, like you can never go back to these guys. I wouldn't even, out of pure professionalism, I would never go back and be like, dude, we lost your interview. Can you give us another one? Like,
oh my God.
And when you're a creative guy and you're trying to drive that content too, the fucked up part is like the anxiety that I deal with on a daily basis, whether it's, business or money or kids or people, it doesn't even come close to comparing fucking something like that up when you're asking someone for their time, isn't it? And that's the key. It's someone's time that you're taking where you fucking do the job and you're like, oh my God, I fucked it up. And you can never, like, the embarrassment that you feel when a podcast doesn't work out or an interview doesn't work because you've got technical problems, you haven't done the work, like that is high fucking stress. So I get why you guys crash at like 8 o'clock at night, because you are fucking high alert.
We didn't realize it till after those 2 interviews, like why we never have energy, because normally we'll go for a few beers, we'll hang out or whatever, but we always realize after our big interview days, like we're done, right? And it's just because we're on such high alert and we don't want anything to go wrong, and you're just, everybody's like double triple checking this release forms, bang like everything's such high alert that when you finally can relax and the footage is backed up, you got nothing left, you're done.
Right? Where's Dolph right now? Like, where does he live?
So he was between Marbella, Spain. That's where he raised his family, his daughters and everything were out there, and they just sold their palace out there. It was really a palace, a villa out there, and then he sold his place in LA, and he's got just an apartment now. But he is in LA. Him and his fiance, who's Norwegian, they're in LA.
Okay. And when's the doc come out? I know you're like 60-70% done filming, but when's the release date?
We're thinking early next year. I mean, it'd be great we'd love to try to have it ready for Sundance next year or Tribeca. So we'll see how that depends also to what he wants to do. And there's for the contemporary part, we're kind of waiting to see what happens here because he's directing. So he's just his career's really taken a resurgence now that he's moved back to LA and he's getting back in the mix. He's just in the new Expendables. He's in the new Aquaman. He's directing movies now. He's got his doc coming out. So we're kind of capturing some of that stuff as that contemporary stuff comes around too. him on the red. Like he's also a voice in the new Minions that's coming out. He plays some big Swedish villain or something like that. So I actually asked him. I said, Dolph, like, because we don't ask for a lot of favors, but he's like, yeah, we're gonna do the premiere of that. I'm like, Dolph, I would love to bring my 10-year-old boy and my son. Like, if you can get us on the day that you guys are all the actors are all there. He's like, oh yeah, they usually give me like 10 tickets. I'll get you guys come to the Chinese theater for the red carpet premiere. I'm like, that would be the time to take my boys to Disneyland, right? Go to Disneyland, red carpet premiere with Minions, be there with all the characters. Would be pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Your kids can take that experience back to school with them and show all the kids how great their life is and how terrible the other kids' lives are. That's a great one.
What a great time to be. What a great time to be doing what you're doing, though, with that resurgence where you can catch that. I think like the timing is perfect for your documentary. It's
well,
great.
And yeah, we got very lucky on that. I'd like to, they always say you got to be good to be lucky. So I'd like to, I think, because Dolph is in such a good place to share too. He just did that TED talk about the abuse growing up and everything, and so he's in such a great place where we knew after the with him and how deep he was going, because you never know, like we're like, hey, like Dolph, you definitely got to talk about Grace, but how deep do you want to go with Grace? Like, oh, let's talk about it all. Let's talk about Studio 54 days, the drugs, the orgies, the whole thing. We're like, you got a new young fiance. Like Emma's like, I know all about it, don't worry about it. We're like, okay, like okay, as long as you like he's been, it's so refreshing, honestly. He's just been so, and because he is like that, Emma, like he's so also too, like you send him an email and usually like if we don't hear back from him in a day, he must be really busy on, because normally it's like, hey guys, and he answers all your things very methodically, like yes to this, still working on this, I'll get back to you on that, talk to you later, let's talk Friday, bang. Like it's all.
What's his email address?
It's at I must break you, Dean Lundell.
Adam Scorgie is our guest at Adam Score and then the letter G on Twitter. Follow him. I know your kids are going to get in the car, so I'm going to let you go. I want to thank you for your time. Go rent the Bisping doc if you get a chance to do it. It is fucking brilliant. You're a Canadian treasure, dude. I think you're working your way into this like Canadian legendary category, and pretty soon maybe a newspaper will start talking about you. So until then, we'll take your time.
That just bugs me, Adam.
Yeah,
that just bugs me.
It hurt me too, and it's weird because I don't normally try to push my own stuff, but I really try to show, and I really emphasize the team, not me, right? Like, look, my team, like we're based out of all places too, like not even Vancouver, Toronto, right? We're in Edmonton. Like everybody's always saying they're trying to grow these other provinces and community, and like you said, we have all these mandates to support and grow Canadian content, but then it's like for some reason it's like, okay, well, yours is actually having commercial success and it isn't just a festival darling, therefore we're not interested in it. Or I don't know, it was really weird to see crickets on this one. I don't like to complain because a lot of things are going well, like we don't have lots to complain about, but it was just interesting. Like you guys said, I just really like Edmonton is normally, if I go to the Edmonton media, they're all great, like you, and see like Edmonton really seems to support, but when I try to branch out of support out of Alberta, everybody's kind of like, nah, whatever.
We suck out here. He sucks.
Yeah,
he sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Try not to get arrested on your way home in a road rage incident with the kids in the car.
No promises there. No promises there. But I'm glad to see you guys have some yourself. But Dean, I just want to thank you for always having me on, dude, and checking out and supporting my work. I really do appreciate that. Locke, you too, brother. You've always been. Those are the things that I really do appreciate. You guys making the time for me and my guys, as I'm always happy to make time for you guys. And Ryan, we didn't get to chat a lot today, but nice meeting you, brother, and chat
lots of time.
And we'll get next time. But Locke, Dean,
beer soon.
Truly,
Adam.
Sincerely, thank you.
Anytime, brother. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
you have all our support.
Sure.
We think you're a wonderful, good human being, and you're what they would call in the business a high achiever. So congratulations.
Yeah,
a bit. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you, and thank you very much. That's a great compliment, and I appreciate it. And Locke, yeah, we'll go for beer. I'm going to Rankin Inlet with Tutu here for our next show. We'll talk about that one.
Oh, dude,
when I come back. That's
awesome. Can't believe
so there'll be no beers up there when we do that.
Yeah.
But I will need one when we come back.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that when I come back.
Drop me a line. We'll grab a bite. I think you live pretty close to me too, actually. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All
right.
Well, I'd make time anyway, but thank you, gentlemen.
Anytime.
I appreciate it. I'll go pick up the kids now, and really do appreciate all the time and support you give to me and my team. I genuinely, wholeheartedly really mean that, guys.
Brother, always really appreciate Adam Scorgie. We'll talk to you soon, pal.
Take
That is Adam Scorgie, filmmaker from Scorgie Productions. He's a brilliant guy. And you know what I love about having him on? I don't have to do much work. Locke, you want to say something?
He goes. I was telling Dean,
he's
I
awesome.
said, we don't need any prep for the show. We got Adam on, man. He's got fucking stories and he just rolls. Hey, listen, I want to just mention a couple of his docs that we might not have mentioned that you may not have seen before. And if you take a look, you'll be able to dig these up. The Union, the business behind
Cannabis.
I think it's cannabis. Yes, Getting High. No, the business behind Getting High. Also, he did The Culture High, which was kind of a follow-up to that. That was kind of what made him made a name for him in the business, Adam, producing those. Everybody in Edmonton knows about Making Coca, so that's the Grand Coco, the Grand Fear story, Ice Guardians. If you haven't seen Bisping, we touch on that. You have to see that. And then Inmates, The Rise of Danny Trejo. That one's unbelievable. He did a one on Bob Probert called Tough Guy. That's unbelievable.
Oh, I watched that too. That was so sad and just such a
so
fucking
good.
great representation. Sorry.
Big hockey fan, right? So he's got Soul on Ice as well. The Jordan Two Tooth, he's going to be doing that talk. I've known about that for a long time. They actually sort of sat down a couple of years ago and decided that they were going to hammer that one out. So the fact that Adam's involved in that is awesome. He has this ability to find these stories that haven't been told yet that kind of need to be told, like that Danny Trejo story. Like, I mean, come on, I can't believe, like, a couple of times I've had Adam on the locker room. Before I was on the podcast, we interviewed him all the time. And it was just like, are you kidding me? There's no docs on Dolph. There's no docs on Danny. You know what I mean? Like, nope, nothing. So it's kind of cool that he's got this business and this machine now that can bring these stories in, and then they spit them out and they're fucking amazing. I'm
a documentary whore. I love, like, that's like the only thing that I like to watch. And he has a really good knack at taking your preconceived notion of a person and breaking it down systematically, so that you actually, like you say, you get the emotional side of somebody that you would never, like, you think of Dolph Lundgren, you think he's just a big tough guy, you know, Rocky comes to mind right away. Once you walk out of his film, you don't watch those movies the same anymore either, because you're like, this guy is good. This guy's really good, because you know his entire story, like, from top to bottom. And Adam's a really talented documentarian, very talented.
Yeah, and he's Canadian too, which is fucking hilarious. That all those big wheel media outlets are like, we don't feel like talking about how successful you are because you're making
that doesn't surprise me. Canada.
Well, part of it is like, dude, he's figured out how to, like, he's a dog on a bone when it comes to funding, when it comes to grants, when it comes to all this stuff. So he's this independent dude that's independently made it and had to carve out these relationships in this business on his own without any corporate help, like none. Right? Like zero. He's in the NFT game to fund his business as well. He does everything and anything he can to be able to do what he can do for people. And so the funny part is that all these media outlets that are covering him all are attached to different providers of documentaries, movie studios, that kind of stuff. So they're like, why would we help you when we can help other people? They look at it like it's such a competitive thing. Instead of going, fuck, this guy's out in Edmonton, Alberta, cranking out some of the most important documentaries of our time, like The Union and The Business Getting High, and the follow-up, I can't remember the name of it. You mentioned it, Locke. I apologize. They were shown in
Culture High.
They were shown in Parliament to help people understand how important it was that we legalize pot. Like 10 years ago, when they started to go down the road of maybe we should legalize pot.
Those docs changed the narrative about the conversation revolving around weed.
Yep.
Like, we all knew about that conversation. Everybody's been having it forever. But the people that make decisions that actually decide how bills are written and laws are made still were basing their decisions on an antiquated fucking idea of what weed is. Those documentaries influenced the people that make decisions enough that they fucking right? I mean,
groundbreaking. You have to treat them like kindergarten kids. Let's wheel in the AV cart, kids, so you can watch this movie and learn.
Watching a VHS tape today instead of doing fucking math.
And thankfully they did.
It's on weed, and it changed a lot of minds. Anyway, thanks to Adam. He's great. Bisping the doc, go watch it. The Trejo doc is incredible too. Couple things that happened over the last couple of days, and thanks a lot for setting that up. I appreciate it. You always
not a problem. Adam, you know what? Adam's always. I saw something online. And because I follow him on Facebook and Instagram and everything like that, and I saw, and we forgot to mention it, but there's a contest to go hang out with Dolph at one of his shoots in like New Mexico or something.
Oh wow!
If you go follow Adam, I don't know, Ryan, maybe you can find the link.
Yep. Adam Score, and then the letter G is. If you go to his Twitter feed, you can check it out.
Yeah, Twitter, and I saw it on his Instagram.
I'll find it on his Instagram right now.
Yeah, and if you put the link up there, people can go enter. I had it written down, but we didn't get to it. But it's worth mentioning that they're doing a contest through the company. I think that is putting up all the funds for this doc or something. So who wouldn't fucking want to go hang out with Dolph for a day when he's doing a shoot? Come on,
dude. Yeah. Okay, so here's a question I have for you guys. Okay, because every time I hear Dolph Lundgren's name or I see Dolph Lundgren, I think back to obviously Rocky 3.
I will break you.
No, excuse me, Rocky 4. Rocky 4, after Clubber Lang was 3. Number 2 was the first time Rocky won the World Heavyweight Championship. Rocky 1, he lost, obviously. We're just called Rocky, not Rocky 1. Just to let everybody know. I have this argument with people once a year. Which is the best Rocky movie out of all the Rocky movies? No. You're wrong. So we're going to...
I have this fight all the time, too.
Linz?
You're going with Rocky 4, aren't you?
No. Linz?
Which one had the robot?
It's going to be 1. It's 1 for me.
You guys are 1?
I love 1.
I'm 1.
Yeah.
You guys suck.
You suck.
No, seriously.
Which one is yours?
Seriously.
Rocky 2 is the best Rocky out of all the Rockies.
Okay, why?
Well, because of the scene with Adrian where she's in the hospital and she finally wakes up. And she's like, I want you to do something. I'm going to get goosebumps now talking about it. I want you to do something for me. He wasn't going to fight. He was not going to fight Apollo Creed again. He wasn't going to do it. Didn't have the heart. His eye was all fucked up. Mick slapped him in the fucking stairwell just before he spilled his soup. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Mick? And he's like, you got nothing, kid. You can't see for shit. And he's like, I got to do it, Mick. I got to do it. And anyway, Adrian, she's moving some feed around at the pet store. She starts to hemorrhage because she's pregnant. She goes into the hospital, slips into this deep coma. She gives birth, has no idea because they had to do emergency surgery. Well, Rocky doesn't even want to see the child. Doesn't want to see it without his wife. It's a beautiful story. And then all of a sudden she wakes up and they're looking at this baby together and Paulie's behind him and Mick's there. And she goes, I want you to do something for me, Rocky. And he's like, what's that? What is that?
Spot on.
She's like, win. And the bell. Ding. Ding. And then he goes, win. She says, win. And he looks at her, and all of a sudden you see Mick, and he's like, what are we waiting for? I cry. No word of a lie. I cry every time that scene happens. You could play it for me now, and I would start weeping right here. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it touched when I was like, however old the first time I saw Rocky 2. But every time someone's like, Rocky 1, Rocky 3, Rocky 4 is the best Rocky, I have to remind everybody about Talia Shire and, of course, Sylvester Stallone and Burgess Meredith and Paulie in one of the greatest scenes in cinematic history, just so you know.
Every time.
Which is the Rocky where they give the kid the Christmas gift and it's the stupid robot?
Number 3.
Number 3 is the worst one. Yeah,
it's awful. 4
and then
was like a little bit of a comeback for Rocky. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Who cares?
Was that the kid that was street fighting?
Tommy Morrison. Yeah, who I believe got AIDS shortly
3,
after that.
Right?
Dolph is number 4. Dolph is 4. Tommy Morrison's 5. 6 is whatever. 7, not sure. 8, can't remember. Because it doesn't matter. Rocky 2 is the best fucking Rocky of all.
6 is the last one. Rocky Balboa. The Creed movies aren't that bad either. They're pretty good.
No, they're good.
I like a good boxing movie.
Not
and that
bad.
Michael, whatever his name is, that plays Paulo's kid.
So can we? Yeah, I can't remember. Michael B.
Yes.
Michael B. Jordan is his name. Michael
Jordan.
B. Jordan. Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's a great little actor. Yeah,
he's not bad. So speaking of fighting. Now, yesterday we talked about this, and we put this story out on social media. It was Jagmeet Singh showing up to an office in Peterborough, and a whole bunch of honkies got angry and chased him out and started yelling at him, swearing at him, a bunch of racial epithets, just real cool stuff. Here's the video just as a reminder, because we've got a news update about this story, by the way. Watch it.
Look at you, fucking dude. You fucking lying piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. Talk shit about us freedom-loving Canadians. You fucking traitor. You're a fucking traitor. Have a good day, buddy. You're a fucking traitor. You're a fucking traitor to this country. Fuck you. You fucking cop. Freedom convoy. Go fuck yourself. Fuck yourself.
Classy.
Oh,
Classy.
I'm revolted. Can I say something about that? Quickly. And this isn't me. This is just something that I heard today and I saw online multiple times. Jagmeet Singh will get more support in the next election than he's ever gotten. The NDP party's support across the country will grow tenfold, and it's because of those fucking assholes in Peterborough. So everything that they thought they were doing completely backfired on them. Everyone is mortified in this country and embarrassed to be Canadian after watching that video.
You're dealing with people
that video
that...
out. Sorry, I just want to say, do you know how many? Speaking of the mortified, just to add to what you're saying, do you know how many views that has online now? 3 million. We put it out yesterday around this time.
Your Twitter went nuts.
Dude, I can't keep up. I had to shut off the mentions. It's not because I'm special. It's because people are fucking tired of this shit. And people watched a bunch of rednecks, a bunch of racist, catcall, get after a man of color who had no business. Now you asked a question, interesting question yesterday, Locke. And the question that you asked was, why are they doing this, right? I have that answer for you. And I have the organizers not only admitting to doing this, but I have the call to action that these people put out on social media, asking a whole bunch of their racist, asshole, anti-vax, anti-reality friends to go and find Jagmeet Singh to tell him he is not welcome in their house. These people are the owners of this little restaurant in Peterborough called Peter Burgers. We've talked about them before. Roy and Nicole, Roy Asseltine is his name. The woman's name is Nicole. They are partners, like life partners and partners in this business. They have threatened Karima and gone after her, another person of color, during the convoy. If you remember that video of all those white people with the hoods on surrounding Karima, a little brown lady, catcalling her, telling her they're going to get her, that she's useless and all this shit. That got my attention. It really got my attention. So I stay on top of these fucking losers as much as I can. This is the video. Let me play the video that they put out the morning. Jagmeet Singh was scheduled to be in Peterborough for a meeting, not an appearance, a meeting at his constituent's office. This is the video.
With a business meeting with his...
with his MP, with his Peterborough MP. Yeah.
So this is the video that was put out that activated 20 or so super white, angry racists to go down and literally assault and attack a man of color who was just in Peterborough for business. Watch this.
Oh, it's like our Monday morning.
What's up, Sammy?
What's going on? You in Peterborough? We need some people in Peterborough today.
Like now. Who's busy? Who's free? We're on Instagram and Facebook here. We're going to try and get as many people on as we can here.
Hi, Diane.
We'll repeat this as more people come on. Anybody that is free in the Peterborough area right now, start heading towards downtown. We just got word that Jagmeet Singh is in Peterborough right now. He is going to be at the Old Wolf Studios, which is now the NDP office, at 2 p.m., the corner of George and Lake. So we are trying to round the liberal
NDP parties.
Connect you.
There we go.
We got to let them know that what we're about, what we stand for. Go down and show the Holdfast Pride. Let him know that him and his liberal agenda will not work and that we are against it, against everything that they do.
So again, the leader of the NDP party is in Peterborough today at 2 o'clock on George Street at the Old Wolf building. And we want to go and give him a warm welcome to Peterborough. And so we need everybody who is watching this to spread the word and try to get as many people to join us today at 2 o'clock down at the Old Wolf studio.
Yeah, it's on the corner of George and King Street, the Old Wolf radio station there. He is meeting at 2 p.m. So I have no idea what time he's going to be there at, but obviously it would be a great time to let him know that we're here and what members of Peterborough stand for, and that they will not stand for this Liberal NDP coalition, and that they're trying to destroy our country. This is very, very important, and it's very, very important that we let them know that we are doing things, we are making changes, and we will make them accountable. So
that was part one. That was part one. So this is now what we like to refer to in the real world as evidence.
Evidence. Yep. Intent.
Evidence of inciting hate speech and inciting mischief. This is evidence. This, what you're watching, will be in court very soon, and I'll tell you why. But this is part two of Roy and Nicole, super geniuses that I don't know how they came into owning a restaurant, but they do. It's called Peter Burgers. By the way, Google, it has 2 stars out of 5 for very specific reasons, because they make burgers on the floor while they're getting tattoos. Just letting you know.
Having sleepovers.
That's a fact. Now, this is part 2, because they weren't done hanging a scarlet letter around their own necks in the first part. They felt like they needed to add a second part just to drive home the fact that they started the hate riot, just to make sure everybody knew. Watch this.
So we need to get on this ASAP. So the corner of George and King, 2 p.m., Jagmeet Singh will be here in Peterborough.
We do know of other people who are going to be heading down there, but this clearly wasn't advertised on any of the sites or pages that we regularly visit. So
it's
we
been
were
kept
not
pretty
aware.
hush-hush, I think, and obviously we know why. So we need to let everybody know and get everybody down there. I will have to stay at the restaurant. We are at Peter Burgers. Anybody wants to come down to Peter Burgers right now, meet Nicole maybe, and you guys can all travel up there together to support each other. But yeah, we need to get down and let Jagmeet Singh know that he's not welcome here, and that Peterborough stands up for itself, and the people of Peterborough are proud Canadians, and we will absolutely not put up with his liberal agenda, his liberal coalition. So
And
now's your chance.
We're not going to be silenced.
Yep.
We have a right to go down there, obviously not cause a disruptance or be rude or inappropriate in any way.
Okay,
But,
thanks, Ricky.
Jagmeet.
But we do need to go down and let him know that we, the citizens, are listening, and we do not agree.
And this isn't just for
Or support
Jagmeet.
him.
This isn't just for Jagmeet either. It's also going to let the I don't even know the girl's name that's running NDP, that's trying to get the the seat and get
Shocking.
get it in the NDPs into the premier. We got an election coming up in a couple of weeks. We got to let them know that NDP is not it. It's not it. This is where your chance, your voice gets to shake these people up a little bit. And if we get enough people down there, they're going to go, oh crap. Stop them before they get the chance to start, right? If they win, they get into office, you know what's going to happen. We do make changes. We make things happen. This is your chance to get out there and make your voice heard loud. So let's get down corner of George and King Street, 2 p.m. Jagmeet Singh will be here.
Watch your jaw.
Get down there. Let your voices be heard. Let them know that this is our town.
Let everybody know, okay, guys,
Jock
short
coming
notice.
out.
So we need to get this out there as quickly as possible. All right?
All right.
We'll see you there.
Now,
Neanderthal.
here's the really cool part, fellas. I talked to some people at the Peterborough Police Department this morning, and they're like, "Oh, we're investigating, like right now."
Yeah.
Like all of them. And I'm
the
like,
Deputy Chief put a video out even.
I have it for you.
Oh.
Would you like to watch it?
Yes,
I saw that on DeanBlundell.com.
Yes, I did.
This is the Deputy Police Chief of the Peterborough Police Department saying, "Hey, by the way, Roy and Nicole, you might want to stuff some things up your hoop to take them to prison with you, because you were in a lot of fucking trouble."
We recognize the impact this incident has had on our community. Anyone seeing the video should find it disheartening, morally unacceptable, and lacking the respect each resident and visitor deserves. Thank you to all who have stepped up to say that. To those involved in this incident and other forms of harassment, intimidation, and in some cases hate incidents or hate crimes in the communities we police, your actions and belief systems are reprehensible, unconscionable, and in some cases criminal. Peterborough Police Service will use every investigative tool possible to deal with your actions. We've received a complaint in regards to the incident, and we are actively investigating. We are aware that due to our staffing shortages, we are not always able to engage in proactive policing patrols. We also understand that public safety is of paramount importance, and encourage residents to contact us with their concerns or any evidence that could aid in our investigations. Thank you.
I can help. Roy Asseltine and Nicole Comber started the whole thing, and they work at Peter Burgers, and you absolutely have their home address. That much I know. So that's where they can start. Well, we just played the evidence. That's where you can start. I'm happy to be part of the neighborhood watch on the internet. We all are.
Yep, I'm down.
I feel like it's my civic duty.
These guys are just idiots.
And I do want to bring this up as well. I have tried to explain this to every single one of you people that live in this alternative reality where the rest of the world is getting it wrong, and only you and the rest of your angry people are getting it right. When you escalate, you get angry in public, you're going to get in trouble, and it's happening again and again and again. You people that love freedom are not free at all. You are fucking prisoners in your own angry minds, and I watch it every single day. And when I watch you, as a slave to your emotions, scream about freedom, it makes me laugh every fucking time. Every time. So
I wish
I would
could
encourage
find humor in it.
I don't find any humor in it
this.
at all. The humor I find in it is the fact that these people have all been told you need serious professional help, didn't get it. We're told they were wrong, refused to believe it. Told not to harass and attack individuals that don't share their fucking belief system or opinion, didn't do that. They did the opposite of everything that everybody's been telling them to do, and they're having their lives circumcised. And I can tell you this right now. I am fucking here for all of it. This is the world's greatest I told you so is a shit-eating season. These people do this to themselves, and we need – and by the way, big ups to Jagmeet Singh, because he showed us what a classy gentleman does, and he's winning. And as
every
you
time
pointed out, they are going to steamroll in the next election because of stuff like this.
Like, don't they realize the unintended consequence?
No,
of you acting like fucking idiots on camera. You just gave power into the hands of the NDP. I don't even want that. I am.
Well, how about this?
NDP.
How about this? You just treated a fucking human being like a fucking pile of garbage.
Put aside everything else. You're right. Put aside politics. Put aside color. Put aside everything else. You spoke to another person like that, freely, and like you felt the need to do that. You're a piece of shit.
Not on their own. That's the other part of this. That's the part that I fancy. I fancy this part is that they can't do it on their own. because they're such fucking losers.
I have to stay at the restaurant, so go with my wife.
Yeah, my wife has
to be here.
Listen, there's still no real concrete reasons behind their anger.
There never was.
There still is. That was the thing I was trying to pull. Like that was what I was trying to pull out of the conversation yesterday. Like, I understand that they're mad about what they went through the last two, but what are you mad about now? Why are you in Jagmeet Singh's
that a brown guy was in their town? That's why they were mad. Because they hate him. He is not one of them, dude. Did you not listen to them talk? This is Canada. Go down there and tell him he's not welcome here. This is our town. Go down. Let's all join in. Here's his address. Here, he's not here for an appearance. He's just here for work. That's why they kept it hush hush. He's not welcome here. He is not part of my Canada. Did you not hear that stuff in there? Like, I mean, even when they try to lie about what they're doing, the truth comes out.
They put and Locke said it, and you're asking, like, do they not see the unintended consequence? These are people that are playing checkers, Locke, in a game of chess. And like the game of chess isn't even that hard or difficult, but they're the ones that just show up and think that they're doing something. They really think that they're so myopic and short-sighted when it comes to this shit. They don't realize that all you're doing, you're just helping them. You like Dean said, you have literally given this guy a bump. Like you watch what happens to his poll numbers. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
because he's gonna still keep that cool demeanor even as things are going, and he's going to be like, we need to get over this, we need to try and work together, we need to find the bridge. That's the way he acts, and that's the way, and I do respect him for that.
Jagmeet is actually a politician that I can watch on TV. Like, and he's not very polished, but you can tell he's got some real moments, and I'm desperately seeking that out in any politician right now.
Yeah, he's
you're not seeing it a lot.
He's not a he's not a fake guy. Like if you've ever actually met him and talked to him in person, he's a very sincere guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like his TikTok bullshit. I don't like that style of politics. I don't like and you're right about being unrefined, and that includes in actual like legislative practices when it comes to like putting legislation together, putting out budgets and stuff. He's not that great at that, but as a human being, the guy is a fucking beautiful man. He's a beautiful man.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't deserve that.
And
no matter
we talk about like we talk about the political complex, right? When we talk about not voting for parties, I would vote for that man. If I didn't hear,
that's what's going to happen.
If I didn't hear anything, if I wasn't aware of policies, if I wasn't aware of shortcomings, if I didn't see platforms, and you put that guy next to anybody else and how they react in a moment that is fucking stressful, I'd be like, that's leadership.
That's exactly it.
That's leadership. That's a human being that is showing some fucking servant leadership and saying, listen, this is bigger than my emotional need to beat the shit out of any one of these people, which I would have loved to have seen.
Have you seen him? He's jacked. Like
he's not a small cat.
No,
and apparently he knows like jujitsu and shit like that. So like he would have fucking caved any of those guys in, especially that redneck with the long finger. He's like all tatted up and he's like ginger and he's like, fuck you. And he's like, Jack Meats, in his heart, he's like, I love you. But in his head, he's like, man, I would break your neck.
I'll grab you by that beard.
But that was leadership, humanistic leadership. That was what that was. That was what I saw. The opposite of that is an announcement that Ryan Lindley has today. And yes, I have the asset.
Well,
so.
okay, good.
We need a ticker thing.
I got a thing. Yeah. No, this is breaking.
Here, I got some breaking news music. I got breaking news music. Here you go. Here's some breaking news music. This is it. This is good. This is breaking news right here on the program. You'll love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, as of this afternoon, it has been announced on the No More Lockdowns Twitter and on the Twitter of a certain individual that there will be a Hillier in the Lanark Frontenac Kingston riding. Chelsea Hillier has put her name on the ballot for Lanark, Frontenac, and Kingston for the June 2nd election, as you can see in her bio from Twitter. And unless they're just trying to, stir the pot, considering I think, doesn't she live in like Western Ontario somewhere, I thought?
Who cares?
Whatever. I'm down for it. Let's get it done.
Can I tell you something? This woman lives in a trailer and you can take that anywhere.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I didn't even think. As long as there's a hookup and somewhere to put the gray water, I guess she's good.
This woman has a home that has wheels, so she'll run in any riding.
Her
She's
and
like
Andy
Elgin Middlesex. Yeah.
So something tells, right? You see that? So something tells me something tells me Randy may have been telling people he wasn't going to run again, but now all of a sudden he's a little preoccupied, so he can't. So let's throw old Chelsea in and see how she does.
Did you see
it doesn't fucking end with these grifters.
Did you see that James's podcast last week?
Yeah, I watched it.
She's like, I love what Russia's doing in Ukraine. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know
good.
if that's
now
going
what you should
to get you a lot of votes.
Yeah, I don't know if
I am
that's
no
the
expert in political strategy, but denying the fact that there's a war in Ukraine right now and that Russia might be on the right side of it.
She blamed Ukraine. She blamed Ukraine.
Yeah, she kept bringing up Donbass, which she could never point out on a map.
Best
fucking
fucking strategy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Like if you're running for office, saying, you know what, I really am happy that Putin's killing all those women and children in the Ukraine. Yeah. It's not a great fucking deal. You probably should have a little foresight before you go on someone's podcast. Talk about how big a fan you are of genocide before you run for office.
It's checkers, man.
Idiots.
Yeah, good for Chelsea. She's like super dumb too, so I can't wait for the audio of the first debate.
Oh my god. Oh,
awesome.
Did you guys watch last night's debate? It was in Edmonton. Did you guys watch it?
I loved it. It was the best, most compelling television in the last fucking 6 months.
What was so good about it? Why?
What was because it was a dumpster fire inside a garbage plant outside of a city dump is what it was, and it was fucking fantastic to watch. It was amazing to watch.
So there's the conservative leadership race. Just a little recap: conservative leadership race is heating up. Whatever, just the same bunch of fucking losers. And they had a debate last night on television. And my buddy Dave Moskrop from the Washington Post, Globe and Mail, he was live tweeting it, and it was fucking hilarious watching him live tweet. He's like, "This is insane." You were live tweeting it too. Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, both of us.
But if you watched like Ryan's live tweet, David's live tweet, it was very similar, right? Because it was like the same ridiculousness comes up. Like Leslie Lewis, this lady who's running for the leadership. She's like, I love forcing women to have babies they don't want. I'm a big fan. And I want to have control over every woman's womb in this country. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then this killed me. So they asked everybody during and I didn't watch it, but this part killed me. They asked everybody on the panel, like, what kind of books do you read?
Oh my God.
This is Pierre Poilievre's answer. Okay. This will tell you a lot you need to know about him. But this is like, Pierre Poilievre, he's leading the conservative leadership. What kind of books do you read? Favorite authors? This is his answer. Watch it.
What are you having time to read these days?
Well, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules, great book, and a lot of good lessons. We all need to improve ourselves, and I think he has a lot of good wisdom in that book that could help anybody.
Can I point something out about that book real quick before we go further? Do you know that he actually tells you to beat your kids in that book? Like, he tells you to hit your children in that book.
It's important to hit your kids.
Pierre thinks that's great.
Pierre wants everybody to hit their kids. Yeah. So he's like, I love Jordan Peterson.
All that is he's just trying to hit that base.
It's dog whistle. Yeah.
It's so fucking obvious, people.
Roman Babers was my other favorite. Roman Baber is reading Bible school, Sunday school, David and Goliath, because someone told him that'd be a good one for him to read. I put that out with a Sesame Street gif on Twitter when I found it.
I got a John Grisham on my bedside table right now. I'm not fucking embarrassed to tell anybody.
I got the moral letters from Seneca, a philosopher who lived 2,500 years ago.
You're trying to learn more about shitting in a glass. We get that.
They were talking about favorite TV shows and you know what's everybody watching, and some people did go a little bit into some Netflixy things, but nothing like crazy. But they all brought up something smart, except for Roman Baber, who said, "I'm watching Married with Children." Yeah. So it was interesting.
You know what that is? I'll tell you what's happening.
That taught him English, by the way. Just so you know, Roman Baber learned English from.
Yeah, probably.
There is so much hatred right now for politics. There is so much division in the country, and they're not dumb. They know that what's happening is actually not good. It's not good for the growth of the country. We're at probably one of the worst points in history with our disillusionment about what's happening politically and who we have leading the country, right? And I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to switch. There's legitimate conversations behind the scenes, and Ryan, I'm not wrong. Mm-hmm. We need to try to make this appealing to the general public. We need to try to be more open with them. We need to be more real. That was what that was last night.
Even the fail horn was cool.
Do it. Ryan,
they can't
do it.
They had a womp womp womp. If you shit talked another candidate or the current prime minister, they gave you the shit horn. And if people were clapping, those fucking clapping, barking seals in the audience that were there for Pierre, they took 10 seconds away every time they opened their mouths, and they said your candidate is about to get penalized for your clapping.
What the fuck was this? It's just such the stupidest debate rules I've ever heard in my fucking life. Like, debate's supposed to be let's exchange ideas. It's not supposed to be like a fucking radio show from the 80s where it's like wah 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 woo.
Mm-hmm. Dean, they don't know what to do.
They don't know what to do.
They're worried.
Idiots. Well, dude, let me play this for you again. Of course they're worried because they're all fucking morons. Like, Pierre Poilievre is a fucking idiot. Let me play this for you again, and I'll tell you why he loves Jordan Peterson. Watch this.
What are you having time to read these days?
Well, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules, great book, and a lot of good lessons. We all need to improve ourselves, and I think he has a lot of good wisdom in that book that could help anybody.
Yeah, that's not true. Not only does he tell you to beat your kids in that book, but he also says clean your room. This is Jordan Peterson just like a year ago in his room. Doesn't look very clean, doesn't live by his own rules. What an enormous piece of shit this guy is. On top of him not even being able to clean the room that he tells everybody else to clean and not do drugs, which he does himself, or actually had to spend like 4 months in a Russian coma. He also tells you to beat your kids, and it's really important. Not only that, I found this clip. This is who Jordan Peterson. This is Jordan Peterson talking to a guy who's doing an interview. I want you to watch this very carefully. This is who Pierre Poilievre, who wants to be your prime minister. This is who he says it gives people a lot of good ideas about how to live their life. Watch this. Fuck.
How about no makeup in the workplace?
Why would that be a rule?
Why should you wear makeup in the workplace? Isn't that sexually provocative?
No.
It's not?
No.
Well, what is it then? What's the purpose of makeup?
Some people would like to just put on makeup.
Why?
I don't know why.
Why do you make your lips red? Because they turn red during sexual arousal. That's why. Why do you put rouge on your cheeks? Same reason.
I mean, look.
How about high heels?
What are they for? What about high heels?
What about them? They're there to exaggerate sexual attractiveness. That's what high heels do. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't use sexual displays in the workplace. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that that is what they're doing. And that is what they're doing.
Do you feel like a serious woman who does not want sexual harassment in the workplace, do you feel like if she wears makeup in the workplace that she is somewhat being critical?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do think that.
The problem I have with the Jordan
At least we know what
Peterson
his
thing
kinks
is
He's a cock. He's a racist, misogynist
I think it's
cock.
heels. I think he likes heels.
He said that women deserve to be abused if they wear high heels and makeup.
I think we got to be careful. Specifically with the Jordan Peterson thing, with the Jordan Peterson thing, I think we do because the guy, there is a lesson.
Can I tell you something I know about him?
From his approach to societal sort of norms.
No, there isn't.
And I think there is. I think there is.
When
And
James
somebody,
was on the show.
somebody like
Morphing
you,
into James,
who has an appreciation for learning, for philosophy, for trying to better yourself, and trying to find the tools to do that. I think you would be open to listen. He's a dumpster fire now. Like he is. I think what has happened with Jordan is I don't think he was prepared to deal with the fame that he got. I think that there was some underlying issues with some addiction, obviously, that has destroyed his life. But I honestly think that the guy is smart, and if you take if you can sit down and you can read what he wrote, and I've read a bit of it, I'm not smart enough to read what he's written. I just don't have the capacity to take it all in. But if you are, and you can spend some time with it and separate the man and take a look at what he wrote down and his approach to it, you don't have to agree with it, but his approach to thinking differently, I think, is valuable. That's the concern I have about shitting all over Jordan Peterson, is that I think we need to do that in life. It got away from him. He doesn't know how to deal with it.
Slightly.
And he's fucking gone down and so you can't put him up on a pedestal.
Well, he changed in the past. Like when he got, and he would listen. He was always very colonial and misogynistic when he was delivering his opinion on what was important for men. Because he was really directing everything at men, right?
But he's the result.
But now he's like extreme. Where he's saying to people, listen, the only he said this in a TED Talk the other day, not even a TED Talk because they don't want to take him. This is like this weird talk that he did. He's like, the only truth in the world is the Bible. That's it. The only truth is the Bible. And you're like, you're fucked in the head. But here's the interesting part. I have it on very good authority from more than one female, who have dated, had intercourse with, or hung out with Jordan Peterson-ophiles, like the Jordan Peterson crew, the fans, the young men that look like him, act like him. And there's a couple of like commonalities between every Jordan Peter-file and every person who reads his books and says, this is how I want to live my life. There's a commonality. And there's a couple of them. Let me just kind of bring these up. There's one commonality. They are very conflicted. They are very angry young men.
Yeah.
The other thing that they share, not only being angry, is they have serious trauma from their childhood that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the other one. Now, this is physical. And
that's why they're drawn to it, Dean.
Totally.
They're looking for answers.
And I found this to be fascinating. And I found it with 3 out of the 5 people that I spoke with that have had relationships with men who have encouraged these women to read this book to understand them. That's what they do. Read this Jordan Peterson book if you want to understand me. And these women, to their credit, some of them are like, okay. Some are like, go fuck yourself. I don't know if I'm reading a book so I can get to know you better. But to a man, every one of them had a tiny dick or was sexually troubled or impotent. And I am not joking. Every single Jordan Peterson fan who is a man is an idiot. But every one of them shares those three commonalities, and I'm sure there are more. Major trauma in their past, in their childhood.
Yeah.
Very angry. They've got a terrible temperament, and they're looking for rules to live by.
Yeah.
So he says, here's a rule. Here's 12 rules for men to
They
live
don't
by.
fit in,
And everybody's
right?
like, 12. And then the other thing that I find fascinating is that how they are all so self-conscious about their dicks. Every single one of them. To a point where I talked to one lady who was like, I went to counseling prior to having sex with this person because they refused to have sex with me because they're embarrassed to kick off their pants. And they tried to deal with it or get help through reading Jordan Peterson's books.
I think it's a side effect of the
Either
book.
he's like the fucking incel granddaddy of all the incel granddaddies, which I believe is partially the case. Or he's also got a small dick, and they're like, that's our guy. Let's follow the small dick psychologist.
And listen, I am no expert on men with small penises.
Me neither.
But if
Thank
somebody
God.
said, here's a whole bunch of money, would you be willing to bet it on the fact that Pierre Poutine has a small dick? I would be throwing all that money
Probably
into the
safe
pot.
money. That's safe money. That's definitely safe money. And I understand what you're.
Can I say one more thing, Ryan?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I know
I was
you're
just- I
going
was
to
gonna-
put something on a. You're going to put a bow on this, and I don't do that as well as you do. I will say this about the Jordan Peterson thing. I think he is the result of going through a very woke period of time. He would not have been as popular as he is if we had not experienced that, and that was why I thought it was beneficial to have him in the zeitgeist over the last 5, 6, 7 years, because it brought, and listen, we swing too hard both ways on all these issues. We swung too hard one way, and it has a negative impact on society. And it
Yeah, but
did.
most people
And
have the fucking
that's why
ability
people
to be able
gravitate.
to. Yeah, but most people have the ability to be able to figure it out. Most people have the ability to go, you know what,
absolutely.
listen, I'm self-aware. I know I'm struggling. I'm having a problem with my personality, my tiny dick, or my anger, or my ability to perceive the world and live life on life's terms. They go to a counselor. They go to a therapist. They go to a psychotherapist. That's what I did. When I knew I was messed up, like my perspective was so bad that I couldn't operate in the real world anymore, I ran to professionals. I didn't run to a book by a guy who spent 3 months in a benzo coma.
Yeah,
I did.
After eating all meat to do, I can't even remember why he was eating
went
all
on
the
an
meat.
all
There
meat
was a
diet
reason
for
why
months
he
where
did it.
fucking
The guy's
almost died.
fucked.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
fucked in the. Everything he says is wrong.
But
Everything
I
he
think
does is
he's-
wrong.
I think he's also fucking off the charts smart.
So
And
was
we
Ted
have these people
Kaczynski.
in the world.
So was Ted
Exactly.
Kaczynski.
Exactly.
So was
You
Ted
don't put him
Bundy.
up on a pedestal. You don't put him up on a pedestal, but his book is very successful. And there is some
a lot of
elements
virgins
of
with
it.
small dicks out there, dude.
There is some elements of it. I think that at least, and like Dean said, read it for the sake of reading it. If you're into gaining something, knowledge, at least understanding a different way of approaching things. I always beat myself up because I'm limited in that regard.
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm a
But you're
little bit
self-aware.
embarrassed when we
You're
talk about
self-aware. You walk
religion.
but you walk into conversations and you will be honest about what you know and what you don't know. Whereas Jordan Peterson is telling everybody here's what you don't know,
Yes.
and I have the only way for you to be happy. And every single time we have him or a clip from him on the show, he's crying.
And
He's
how much?
yelling. He's screaming. He's fucking hammered, or he's high, or he's talking about why women deserve to be sexually assaulted for wearing makeup. Like, holy fuck. And that clip that I played for you, by the way, that was 10 years old. It's not like he just lost his mind.
Yeah.
He is
Sorry.
legitimately the unofficial mascot for incel in the world. Ryan, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think you're right, and I understand where you're coming from, Lachlan, about trying to keep an open mind to broaden your. But how much time do you have in the world? Do you have enough time to keep giving him chances. When you find out he's a piece of shit, we don't need to explore it anymore. We can make fun of it now. We don't need to understand where he's coming from. When you use the word woke as a pejorative term, give me 5 things in the world that wokeness affected you directly. That we would have to upset the entire apple cart to allow his opinion in and take it as
so
collective.
You're suggesting that the over woke world that we live in now.
How over woke are we though? We use that. We say that a lot. We say those words a lot. That it's over woke and we're over woke. Give me an example of how we're over woke.
There's lots of examples of it.
I'll give you a bunch. Several years ago, I lost my job because woke people went nuts.
100%.
Over me having a joke about it, like not even over me saying, "Hey, it's bad to rape people," and all of it. The Me Too.
Well, and they took what he did and spun it completely different direction.
There's
lots
to that point
because of that.
Right. So now, do you think that somebody like Jordan Peterson, because of the words that he speaks, comes to Dean's defense in what happened to Dean because of over wokeness?
No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying I don't think that Jordan Peterson is the antidote. I think he's the result of what we went through.
Bingo. And here's the great part. When I watched Jordan Peterson lose his mind, I laughed so hard because everybody told him he was losing his mind, and he's like, "No, I'm not losing my mind. You guys have lost your mind." And every new clip I see of him is him getting harder and harder and harder and being deeper in the hole and showing up with like sweat pouring off his face, going, "The Bible's the only truth," and I'm crying and I can't stop crying. It's like. And dude, if you know any one of these incel guys, and I happen to unfortunately know a couple of them, they're the same tortured individual that has no idea how to live their life because
they're gravitating toward anything. They're just clinging to it
40 years. Yeah.
No, I agree. I totally, I agree with you on that point. But I just don't see taking a devil's advocate stance with him anymore. We're done with him. I think we should be done with him.
I'm not defending him. All I'm defending is his process. Because from any time when I first started hearing him, I was like, fuck, man, like he has got a way of thinking about things, and that there might be some value there. Right? Because I think a lot of times we come at stuff like face on and we hit it like and that's not always the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there's a back door to things. There's a
I agree,
side
but I don't
door
think
to things.
I don't think he's the key to that.
No, I don't think he is either. I'm not. I don't want you thinking that I think that this guy's some kind of fucking savior. He's not.
I know, but
we need more people like him. He is brilliant. I think he's fucking crazy.
He was brilliant. Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
Well,
brilliant.
You can be brilliantly wrong. You can be brilliantly right. I mean,
academia doesn't mean
no. Like, and here's the fucking crazy.
The smartest people I know are the fucking craziest. I read
a lot.
Every single one of them.
Like I read a ton of philosophy, and I do not call myself a philosopher. Like my head is in it. I love it. I fucking love the perspective, and I love it. He's got philosophy and philosopher in his bio, right? That he's some kind of fucking philosopher. Now, if you understand anything about people that really appreciate the philosophy and the knowledge from the ancients, like from people, it's that we never talk about it. And if we do, it's because it lends itself to itself. But you try to not talk about how you know so much, how you are this fucking brilliant mind who understands perspective and doesn't get hurt and has a way of thinking through things and responding to the. None of that stuff matters. It's yours. It's yours. This guy literally uses that as a weapon, and he knows none of it because he doesn't live that lifestyle. He's not a philosopher. He's a self-promoter. He's a guy who still lost his own bullshit, and he really does appreciate, and he fucking lives off of that incel crowd. Do you know how much money those guys give him every year? Millions to be part of his webinars and buy his fucking stupid books and stuff like that. He's legitimately doing what everybody else is doing. It's a fucking grift at this point. He is so mentally toxic and emotionally toxic that these people that are following him have no idea what to do now. Like I talked to a dude that used to like Jordan Peterson. He's like, he's a little too crazy for me now. And now I hear some of the stuff he says. I look back on some of the stuff that he wrote and I'm like, oh, that's what he was getting at. He's actually not a good person with a terrible perspective who thinks that Jesus Christ is the truth and savior in this world and everything else is going to hell. That's why he's mad. That's why he's crying all the time.
Do you think it's a mind fuck now Do you think he's actually not crazy and he's just
he's crazy.
just cashing in, just acting as though he's that fucking nuts? Like, remember, like, wasn't it one of the Gambino mob bosses that acted like he was fucking nutty to try and get out of jail and shit? Like,
he's crazy.
You think so?
Oh yeah, he's legitimately fucking cracked. Yeah, Locke and I have a pretty good understanding of crazy people because we are, and we can identify crazy in like a heartbeat. That's fucking crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I have crazy in my family too. And it's interesting too. The thing about the conversation we've had over the last like 10 plus years about narcissism too, because that's been thrust into the limelight, especially with guys like Donald Trump. But we're like Dean and I are radio guys, and narcissistic personalities and lazy people gravitate. It's like a beacon, and there's crazy people in radio too. There must be like some kind of a signal on top of the building. Are you lazy?
Frequencies.
Are you narcissistic? Come work for us. Bloop, bloop. And anyway, I started to figure out what narcissism was probably about 25 years ago, and then I was like, oh, hold on, my uncle is like that. My uncle is wildly narcissistic and wildly intelligent. Like, he wrote textbooks for he would take a class, teach a class when he got out of university, professional student, and he would write the textbook to present to the kids, right? But one Christmas day, he chased his neighbor around the neighborhood with an axe. The guy's fucking nuts, right? Like, there is a fine line, right, between
Jason. Yeah, dude.
Jesus.
Like, you watch Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, you're like, oh, I get it. That's Jordan Peterson. Like, he is actually quite a smart guy, but the elevator is not going to the top floor anymore. There's like a fucking thing. I asked people in the chat, I'm like, hey, has anybody dated a guy who's a Jordan Peterson fan, and did he have a small wiener? Guess what?
All right.
Danielle says yes. He had a small wiener.
Breaking news.
I think I'm a little sensitive to the Jordan Peterson thing because, and I'm not going to get into it, but so I just found out recently that somebody that I know and that is in my life is reading that book, the 12 Rules or whatever the fuck it is, and I was just like, So I sat that individual down and tried to have a conversation, and the conversation that we're having, I was having with him. Listen, read that book. Read it from the perspective of, here's a really, really smart man that has some interesting ideas that may or may not get you through life. Probably not. You need to have enough sense about who you are to read that book for what it is, right? And I had a really good conversation with this kid about it. And then I was just like, okay, all right, because I don't want that fucking guy to worship him, right? And that's why I wanted to make that point about that book and about Jordan Peterson, because a lot of guys are talking about that book. Because a lot of guys, and this is just an ongoing thing, men feel out of place, at a sink in the world sometimes. And they go searching for shit.
Well, for every dude that has been told he's under attack, like here's where we're at, right? Like, that's every guy that has been told over the past little bit that they're under attack. Men are under attack, specifically white men. That is the messaging a guy like Pierre Poilievre is delivering and fear mongering around this country. That is what happens in the United States.
It's dangerous.
This is what the theocratic assholes are using this as a way to fucking get one over on everybody. You say, hey, listen, guys, white guys, listen to me. I'm your guy here. Okay. Yep. Now, here's the problem: is that they're coming after us. We need to stand up for white guys.
This is how
can I just say, if you have met a white man before who says we're under attack, that white man is stupid. That white man is a piece of shit, and he doesn't understand history, and he doesn't understand culture, and he doesn't understand
under consequence,
a spell. And he doesn't, or he's under the spell of Jordan Peterson, Pierre Poilievre, the church, or another fucking person that's like, hey, white guy, you need to come on side. And you know who does this really well? You know who
he might not be coping.
People? Well,
coping
that's
with
fine.
What?
You know what, dude, I don't care how someone's coping. It's not my job to go and say, hey, listen, you need help. But everybody finds it their own way. But at the same time, at least you're rooted in the basic reality of what's going on around you. Like, you're self-aware, you understand these people have none of it. And not only have they been fucking co-opted by an ideology.
Yeah.
You've got guys out there like Pierre Poilievre going, I'm your guy. I'm on the inside. It's all bad. Come with me, white man. Come with we, white person, and let's white this world together. Let's white. And guys, by the way, you're in trouble too. So let's white. And that is what Jordan Peterson has been doing for years, is telling white people they're in trouble, telling everybody the Western civilization is in trouble because the hunter-gatherer man is about to be displaced by a hunter-gatherer woman. Well, fucking good news. We need help. We need help hunting and gathering, and I'm cool with it.
Fuck, I can put my feet up on a day or two. I'm fucking great. Thank you. Thanks for coming on board. Let's do this together. Anybody that thinks that they're over top of anybody else because of the color of their skin or the fact that they've got a cock between their legs is an idiot.
And by the way, a small one apparently.
Very small one, and it is. And
I think I would have a lot less confidence in life if I had a small wiener. I'm sorry. I
agree. I don't think we'd be on podcasts like this.
I seriously think the biggest issue that all these Jordan Peterson guys have, the one thing, I think if you looked in the pants of every person that's like 12 Steps by Jordan Peterson is the best book I've ever read, they have tiny ones. They've got little tiny peckers or micro penis or major sexual hangups. It's the same with all of them, dude. I'm telling you, 5 women I know of like all said the same thing.
I haven't heard that until you mentioned that, honestly.
Oh, yeah. And think about the frustration that men have on a daily basis, and then give that guy a tiny dick, and imagine him walking around trying to hide that from the ladies and how angst he'd be with a tiny penis. That Jordan Peterson is legitimately the Swami for the tiny penis angry white guy crowd. He legitimately is. And when you see someone...
Swami,
he is. He's the guru of the tiny penis angry white guy crowd. And what he does is he gives them all kinds of gusto to say, it's okay to have a small dick, fight back. Your dick's more important than anything. It's just all about the dick. It's not about the dick. Well, it is, and you have a small one, actually, so it kind of is about the dick in your case.
I would be hyper-focused on that as well if it was tiny. I would,
You'd be angry, and I understand what angry.
I'm already angry, and I got a hog on me. I mean,
it's kind of it. Imagine if it was tiny.
I'm already angry. And I've got a hog on me.
It's one of my only attributes, actually. If we're really if we're gonna put a list of shit together about what Lachlan is fucking what are you proud of?
Dude, it's true.
Heat.
That is
there's a study that came out last month that it was like guys with big hogs are way more confident and happy. And I'm like, yeah,
totally
get it. So all these angry guys reading these Peterson books, seriously, you can legitimately set your watch to this fact that if you have a guy in your life that has a Peterson book, that guy, tiny wiener.
Yeah, run. If you're a woman, run. If I could ever tell you, you got to run. You got to run with both fucking feet.
Roy from Petersburg Burgers. He's got a small dick.
Oh, did you see her fucking mouth? That distended bubbles jaw. When she talks, it comes out.
Roy from Peter Burgers. Every guy that was at Jugmeat sings racist undressing. Tiny penis. And every woman there, huge vagina.
Everybody
enormous vagina.
Everybody at the urinals at Peter Burgers are all hiding and bumping up against it. So
don't look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. They're so self-conscious. And that's the thing. Is this crew, I can guarantee it. They're all angry about something, and it's probably got something to do with what's in their pants.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny dick.
I think you're right.
Huge vagina.
Big hallways.
We've done good work here. Yeah, for Roy and Nicole, every night of love is like throwing a hot dog down a hallway.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've done some great work.
In a warm bucket of water.
It's like dropping a toothpick down a mine shaft. Anyway, we've done some great work here. I really do. And the problem
only smells that way when she rubs it.
Like Roy's got a tiny wiener. She's got a huge vagina. They both have problems.
Stop saying that.
It's pretty gross, isn't it?
It's going to itch when it dries.
That sucks too. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. That's Ryan Lindley from the Sheeple Shepherd podcast. At Ryan Lindley on Twitter. That is
Long Dark.
95.7 Cruise FM.
It's going to itch when it dries.
You can follow him on Twitter.
To put that up today.
At Lachlan Cross on Twitter. You can also go to DeanBlundell.com and buy some of these shirts that we have for sale. The Oilers shirt, Leon, Tyler, Darnell, and Connor.
Come on, Oil. We need to win tonight.
You know what else is? Jack, John, Mitch, and Austin. Also available at DeanBlundell.com. We have 2 big fucking hockey games, boys.
Huge
Oilers
tonight.
are down 3-2. Leafs are up 3-2. Predictions for tonight's game. Lachlan, let's go to you first.
You know what? I'm that guy. I don't want to make a prediction right now. I said it this morning. I mean, obviously, we don't.
Pull that big hog out and make a prediction.
Let's see that dick.
Let's see that dick, Lachlan.
Don't even fucking tempt me. I
Let's
want
see
to
that
show
sports
it.
dick.
I want to show you guys more than you know. All right.
We'll get
Come on.
Is it
We'll
that's gonna itch when it dries, or it's gonna that's gonna itch when it dries? That's
gonna itch when it dries.
And it only smells like that when I rub it.
It only smells like that when I rub it. Should be on the back. Should be on the same shirt.
I want to put punchlines on a shirt too.
Shirts.
Just
That's
punchlines on a shirt. Like I want to put when mom goes to bingo on a shirt.
Oh, don't start that one. That one's horrible.
Okay. I was just checking.
In 5 minutes when your mom leaves for work.
No, I don't want to do that.
What's the prediction, Lachlan? Come on.
I'm not predicting it. I'm not.
4-1 Oilers. 4-1 Oilers. Yeah.
I think.
I think
Okay,
the
here
Oilers
we are. We're gonna have a couple of game 7s in this bracket.
Leafs win 3-1 tonight. 3-1 with an empty net.
Leafs are going home.
Yeah. Melissa's asking what day it is.
Yes, the game is
Thursday. Oh, you are definitely one of our listeners.
It's Thursday,
right?
Anyway,
shit.
So Leafs
That's
win
funny.
tonight, 3-1 in Tampa. They close out the series. Oilers win 4-1. Come back to Edmonton and win in a blowout at home. All the Canadian teams. Calgary won yesterday.
What are you
just talking about the Canadian teams? I want to see Canadian teams get in the second round.
Yeah,
That's
I'd like to
all
see
I
that
need.
Battle of
would be
Alberta
nice.
in the second round. Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
That'd be incredible. That's all I want to see. I want to see the Battle of Alberta, and I want to see the Leafs get out of the first round. That's all.
I just want to release that shirt. That's all I want to do.
Me too. All that work for nothing if they don't lose too. Kind of hope they lose so we can make some money.
Yeah, exactly.
Very selfish.
Don't talk about those shirts either. I think that's part of the fucking problem here in Edmonton.
Yeah, that's right.
You
Karma.
talking about those shirts.
Right. That's what happened.
I'll be watching that Leafs guy on Twitter tonight.
Yeah, it wasn't the
sure.
fact that Connor McDavid led the team in hits that game when they lost 4-1 or whatever it was.
No, it was us
It was
talking
the
about a
fact,
shirt.
Yeah, it was the
No.
shirt. All right,
You
so
don't
I'll leave you
understand
alone
my
tonight.
power over things.
Yeah, I know I do, actually. It's not existent and all in your head. But thank you for doing this podcast at Lachlan Cross on Twitter, 95.7
No show tomorrow.
FM in Edmonton. No show tomorrow, so we'll see you Monday. Same with you, Lynn.
Let's predict.
Shepherd
Let's
podcast.
predict Dean's golf
It's
score.
going to be a good weekend.
All right, what are you golfing? You doing 18?
18.
You walking?
Yeah, always.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, you're walking in first round of the season.
Yeah.
No.
Oh. I thought it was.
What's your handicap?
Now?
Have you seen him?
8.
You got
8
an
or
8
9.
handicap? Oh fuck, we can't golf together.
No, we can't, probably.
Okay, I'm writing it down for Monday's show.
8.
I got an 88 in front of me.
Well, 8 handicap is like.
I got an
par
88 in
72.
front of me. I got an
72
88.
is 80. You think I'm going to shoot 88? Is that what you're saying?
I think I'm writing down 88. You're going to have a bad day tomorrow.
Nor will I. That will never happen. But okay.
Well, it is. You are walking it. You might get tired.
No, I'm excited because I'm going to go out with my friends that I used to drink with, and they are going to get fucked up.
And then you're going to take their money.
Yeah.
I got an 88 in
And I'm
front
gonna
of
go,
me.
guys,
You better
let's go.
fucking.
It's all right.
You better be honest.
What's the par?
72. No, 71 where we're going. Par 71. Yeah. It's
Okay,
short
I got to
course.
adjust. If that's an easy course, then you're going to an easier course.
No, it's a hard course, dude. It's nice and tight, big trees, narrow
Okay.
fairways, lots of dog
All right.
legs,
I'll
blind
stick with
shots.
my 88. I'll stick
All
with
right.
my 88.
All right. So
What are you going with,
88 it
Ryan?
is.
71. I'd say I'll give you an 82.
That's better. Probably. I would say because like I haven't golfed a lot. 80.
That's what I mean. It's early. It's early in the season.
11
you're,
over,
You're
yeah.
walking it. You're an old man
Yeah,
now.
11
Fuck,
over.
Come on.
So I'll blow
You're
up
an
on a
old
couple holes for sure. You're an old man, is that right?
It's because I'm young. It's my birthday this weekend. You guys
happy
can make
birthday,
fun of
Ryan.
me.
Yeah, we won't see you, but happy birthday to you. He's going to turn, if you feel about it, send him a nice little note at Ryan Lindley. Happy birthday to you. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you soon. We'll see you
That was a lot
Monday.
of fun, boys. That was a good
Great
one
laugh.
today.
Yeah,
That felt
it
good.
was.
Yeah.
Thanks, boys. Talk to you
Take care,
soon.
guys. Have a good weekend.
Yep, you too. Ryan Lindley, Lachlan Cross. That's it. God, I love doing this. It's like what we could do at the end of the week is where we take all of our frustration out on the people that frustrated us, but we do it in a fun way. I call it hypocrisy entertainment. We make the things that make you the craziest entertaining. And it's a fact. I'm not kidding. I want you to canvass the Jordan Peterson fan in your life. Ask him about his penis size. Just a little guy. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you Monday on this very radio show. Not even a radio show. It's a podcast. It's a show. Fuck, whatever. Sometimes you can hear it come out of your speakers on your radio if you want. It's all digital. YouTube. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate that. Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. Also, Dean Blundell TV on Twitch. If you could subscribe there, that'd be awesome. Really appreciate that. Not only that, we'd love for you to download our podcast and subscribe to it on Apple, Spotify, Google, etc. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Go to deanblundell.com as well. You can sign up for a newsletter. Thanks to our friends and sponsors at edsfineimports.com. Ed makes Gitch, best luxury branded underwear in the country. Guaranteed. I'm a massive pouched underwear fan. Like huge. Game changer. And when that started happening like 10, 15 years ago, I'm like, hey, need better Gitch. So this guy I know, his name's Ed. He invents his own Gitch. Canadian guy. Boxer briefs, pouch in the front, just like the ones, but way better because they're Canadian made. Dude actually gives a shit about making underwear for guys. All sizes, lots of colors. Your lady will love them too. Sleek, great fitting. edsfineimports.com. Order a pair today. In fact, order 3. He'll send you a free pair. Clothing for men and boys. edsfineimports.com. Hi to our friends at Domination as well. dmntn.com. Do you produce content? Do you make content like this? Do you stream? Do you game? Do you podcast? These guys make producing commercials and promos for your program super easy. One file, 72 pieces, 10 minutes. That's how easy it is to use. Free to try. dmntn.com. Try them again. dmntn.com. Full free. And as if that wasn't enough, our friends at Easy Auto Financial want to help you buy a car. How's your financing? Having a tough time finding some? These guys do it. They don't charge you for it. All credit welcome. They're ninjas. That background music's killing me. It feels like I'm in the 80s, 70s. But go to easyautofinancial.ca. Sign up today. They're going to get your financing and get you the car that you want. You don't have to pay for any of it. Well, you got to pay for the car, but not the financing. Everybody likes to charge you. These guys don't. They make it easy. Go to easyautofinancial.ca today. No obligation. That's it. Have a great day. See you Monday.